So guys, what if Kakashi and Kaguya already know the future of Naruto Uzumaki? Movie 1. About a year and a half after the moon conflict concerning the Tenseigan. Yeah, hell returns soon, the current Hokage, Hitaki Kakashi, muttered while looking outside of his office. Indeed, it has been quite a while since you assigned him to that so-called S-rank mission, Haruno Sakura retorted to the former Team 7 sensei. She was standing together with Sai in front of the Hokage desk. Well, it's not like you have any other choice for the matter. But still, the timing of that mission still was kinda off, and borderline mean on your part, Sai added. You see, you gave Naruto this mission a few weeks right after he and Hinata finally admitted their feelings to each other. Sure, Naruto is always smiling and all, but I've never seen him that genuinely happy aside from those few weeks that he had with Hinata after the moon conflict. Yeah, I know, that's why before I officially gave him that mission, I made sure that Hinata was with him so I can explain the rationale of that mission. Kakashi gave a sad smile. Naruto complained, as expected, while Hinata shed a tear. The mission is something only Naruto can do, and will greatly affect not only their future but all of the shinobi world, so in the end, it all worked out. Naruto finally accepted that mission and now he's coming back. A very confidential S-rank mission that only Naruto can do, with the Hokage and his fiancée, Hinata, being the only ones knowing its entire whereabouts, Sai muttered to himself. Well, Hinata ain't that much active anymore on taking high-ranking and difficult missions since the moon incident, Sakura said with a small smile. Since Naruto's departure, she enrolled in a cooking school, and last time we met, she admitted helping on Hyuga Manor's household chores despite being literally the princess of her clan, as if preparing herself to become a perfect wife. As for my observation, she still was kinda normal for me. She doesn't show any hint of sadness during the get-together of our generation. Maybe Naruto and Hinata were communicating in some form or another, Sai said while looking towards Sakura. A long-distance relationship, huh? Sakura said as she also looked outside, through the transparent window of Hokage office, remembering the same situation with her fiancé, Uchiha Sasuke. Well, Sasuke will also be returning soon. Kakashi looked towards the two with his signature eye smile, or rather, he's already here. All of a sudden, a space-time portal suddenly appeared on one of the Hokage office walls. From that portal, came out the lone survivor of the clan of Sharingan, Uchiha Sasuke. Sasuke gave a neutral look towards Sai, a small nod towards Sakura, then walked straight towards Kakashi's table. We need to talk about something very important, Sasuke immediately said, and we need the 5 cages so we can discuss all the intel that I have gathered thus far. Straightforward with no nonsense, as always, Kakashi replied with a neutral expression, but for someone like you to say something like that while also requiring the 5 cages presence, just what kind of dangerous information do you have, Sasuke? As if contemplating a bit before deciding the most precise word he can say at the moment, Sasuke said the word in a very serious tone. Otsutsuki. With just that one word, Kakashi narrowed his eyes while Sakura and Sai displayed a mix of surprised and worried expressions. Indeed, any Otsutsuki matter is definitely a 5-cage matter. Kakashi looked down while lightly slamming both his hands towards his table. If that's the case, we will also need to include Naruto, since the two of you are currently the only ones with direct links and also have already fought against an Otsutsuki. It is already a given, Sasuke once again replied in a no-nonsense gesture. All these are very dangerous information and will cause chaos if known by the populace, so we better keep this confidential while preparing the best course of action, Sasuke said as he also looked towards Sakura and Sai. Tension immediately filled the entire room, after almost a minute of silence. So, is Naruto still in that place? Sasuke asked. Yes, but he'll be returning soon, Kakashi replied. Might be tomorrow, might be in 3 days, but not more than a week. Sasuke nodded. Good to know that I am not the only one preparing for whatever this future might hold. Once he returns, I'd also like to see how much he has grown before I relay everything that I happen to know. Alright, however, if the two of you will ever gonna do some sparring match, then do it somewhere far away. It would be bad if the two of you destroys the village accidentally just by flexing. Kakashi gave a wry smile. Sakura and Sai also gave a difficult expression due to Sasuke's previous statement. Well, for now, I am glad you returned home in one piece. Sakura walked towards Sasuke, I think I'll have you rest for now and serve you a nice warm meal. Sasuke looked towards her, then lessened his personal tension. Yeah, I guess I'll take your offer, Sasuke said with a small smile. After Sakura lightly bowed to their former sensei, she linked her left arm with Sasuke's right arm, then walked out of the Hokage office. Kakashi then instructed the remaining shinobi in his office. Tell the communication in charge about what you have heard. An emergency 5-cage summit must commence this week. As you wish, Hokage-sama. With Sai leaving his front desk, Kakashi then sat on his desk and sighed. Sasuke has returned, and Naruto will also be here in a few more days, Kakashi thought. I can no longer prolong the implementation of that law, or the economic side of Konoha will suffer because of those daimyos. Scene change. Night time, just outside of Konoha's shopping district. Hinata Hyuga casually walked on her way home with her left hand carrying plastic bags and her right hand gently hugging a paper bag. She's walking while humming in a very low, quiet voice. After crossing a few intersections before the Hyuga Manor, she then looked towards one specific location. It was a 2-floor apartment where someone so dear to her used to live. To think that you used to live here, Naruto-kun, Hinata muttered to herself. Once your current mission is over, I'll make sure to never leave your side ever again, she said as she resumed her walk on her way home. Scene change. A few days later. And here I thought we'll have a cage summit through online communication, Kakashi said with a deadpan face while looking towards the other 4 cages from other respective hidden villages. The 5 cages and their respective escorts, together with the Konoha 11 and Uchiha Sasuke, and other excited citizens of Konoha were now standing in front of the gate of the east wing of Konohagakure. It is an Otsutsuki matter, so to prevent the information leak, it will be better to discuss everything about it face to face. Closed door, Materumi said to Kakashi in a low voice to ensure that the ordinary citizens behind them won't hear him. Well, but that doesn't mean you'll have to be inconvenienced like this. I mean, waiting for someone to arrive in the middle of the day together with us, Kakashi rebutted. Well, that someone happens to be the hero of the 4th Shinobi World War, and also the one who defeated that Otsutsuki from the moon that threatened our planet's destruction, Unoki replied to Kakashi this time, levitating with his arms crossed and having a huge smirk on his old face. It will be a privilege to welcome him back not as a cage, but as his friend, Gaara said with a peaceful smile on his face. I wonder if I should challenge him to a spar to see how much stronger he had already become, the Raikage said while flexing both his fingers. I don't think you'll ever be a match against him at this point, Sasuke said to the Raikage without looking, making the Raikage's eyebrow twitch in annoyance. The Raikage was about to rebut but Kakashi positioned himself in the middle of the two. Not now, gentlemen, Kakashi said, as he looked towards the gate. It's about time, he's here. Everyone looked towards the gate with expecting eyes. Most of them were expecting something flashy to happen, knowing Naruto's usual hyperactive demeanor. During his arrival, however, much to their surprise, they just saw a man in a hooded cloak, with tattered hemline of that said cloak touching the ground, entering their field of vision. No fancy something or anything, just a man casually walking towards their direction, to the point that they even wonder who that hooded person is. All of a sudden, Hinata ran from the crowd towards the direction of the hooded man, while Sasuke gave a small sigh, then gave a small smirk. It's him, Sasuke said, much to the surprise of Sakura who's standing beside him. But his presence is entirely different, Sakura replied to Sasuke. Sasuke just closed his eyes, still maintaining the same confident smirk. Naruto-kun. Hinata threw herself towards the hooded person, while the hooded person immediately caught the girl, and the two hugged each other. The hug removed the hood and the tattered clothing that was concealing the person, revealing the same blonde, spiky-haired shinobi complete with his signature whisker marks on his cheeks. I am home, Hinata, Naruto whispered with a smile to the girl hugging him. The two tightened their embrace for a few more seconds, before releasing each other. Naruto then raised his right arm, fist pumping upwards. I am back Ibeo. His confident voice echoed, making those waiting at the gates cheered after confirming the return of their hero. The children then ran towards him while Hinata stepped backward a bit, still teary-eyed due to their reunion. Wow, it really is Naruto, but at the same time, he feels like an entirely different person, Tenten commented. Indeed, Naruto's facial and physical appearance was still almost the same as that of when they were fighting against the exploding humans during the Ketsuryugan incident that happened more than a year and a half ago. From his long-sleeved black shirt and orange-colored pants, and with the same short, neat-looking hair back then. Yeah, he looks much more mature and dependable than he used to. Must be that sage cloak that he's wearing right now, Ino said while observing the blonde shinobi. Indeed, on top of his long-sleeved black shirt, he is now wearing a Junin vest, while also donning the same red sage cloak that he used to wear during his fight against Pain, albeit much longer now as its black, flame-like designed hemline now nearly touching the ground and a high collar similar to the fourth Hokage's coat. Looking at him like that, no one can dispute now that this classmate of ours is indeed the son of the fourth Hokage, Shikamaru said with a huge grin on his face. After all, aside from minor facial features and hairstyle differences, Naruto's appearance right now is nearly identical to that of the fourth Hokage, Minato Namikaze. After a few more minutes of cheers and celebration, Kakashi instructed everyone to dismiss, as the committee began moving in preparation of the 5-cage summit that was scheduled to happen in the evening. Scene change. I just arrived after more than a year of doing that mission, and all of a sudden, I suddenly am with you guys for the 5-cage summit. Naruto said with a complaining tone. Beside her was Hinata in her casual clothing, her left arm linked with Naruto's right arm. The Hokage's conference room was now occupied by the 5 cages, each of them having their most trusted shinobi standing right behind them. The cages are sitting in a semicircle, facing Sasuke who was currently standing in front of them together with Sakura, while Naruto was standing a meter or two behind the cages with Hinata. That mission? You mean training mission? Sasuke rebutted with a small smirk. You don't mind if I disclose that now that you have already returned, right? An S-rank training mission that specifically only Naruto-kun can do, Hinata said with a small voice. Training? Huh? Gaara's side glanced towards Naruto. Well, you know what happened during the moon incident, right? We fought another Otsutsuki, and that Otsutsuki can rival the power of my Biju Sage mode back then. He might not be as powerful as Kaguya, but still, ordinary shinobi won't have any chance of fighting against him, Naruto said, remembering his clash with Tonari Otsutsuki on the moon. That alone should give us an overview of how powerful each Otsutsuki was, Hinata added, this time with confident tone. As far as I know, you didn't use your most powerful form against that Otsutsuki from the moon. I mean, that form you used against Uchiha Madara and Kaguya Otsutsuki, Raikage replied, him referring to Naruto's 6-path sage mode, so there still is a window for you and Uchiha Sasuke if ever another powerful Otsutsuki threatens our world once again. Might be, but what if the next Otsutsuki to appear will be on the same level on the likes of Kaguya, or even stronger? Tsuchikage Unoki replied, remember that Naruto and the Uchiha weren't actually able to defeat the mother of all chakra. So that's what you were thinking, old man. Mizukage made Terumi sighed as she spoke. While that might be possible in the lowest chance, ain't that a bit too far-fetched? Not really, Sasuke intervened, and that's the reason itself why I have Kakashi gather you all here immediately. I don't like the feel of this, Gaara narrowed his eyes. About Kaguya Otsutsuki, the so-called mother of all chakra that Naruto and I fought and sealed together using the power we acquired from the Sage of the 6 Paths, Sasuke closed his eyes. She is indeed an all-powerful being, comparable to a god. However, regardless of how powerful she is, she still created thousands of white zetsus using the Shinju in preparation for something. Just imagining a being like her preparing that huge army for something gnaws me, so I have Kakashi sent me on a mission to investigate whatever traces or remnants that might point out any information, no matter how trivial it may be. And what did you find out during your mission? Kakashi said as he looked towards Sasuke seriously. Using the Rinnegan, I have verified that the White Zetsu army that were used by Obito and Madara during the war were the same White Zetsus that Kaguya have created eons ago. Those White Zetsus were sealed somewhere during the same time that the Sage of the 6 Paths and the Sage of the Moon sealed Kaguya from the past, and that seal was unlocked during the time that Madara awakened his Rinnegan, allowing Obito to access and use that army during the previous war. And what does this all mean? The Raikage clenched his fists. Just a hypothesis, but a very logical one unless further information invalidates this. Sasuke narrowed his eyes. Kaguya Otsutsuki, with all her powers and abilities, is very wary of something that she can foresee, and that something is so dangerous that someone like her needs to create an army in preparation for it. And that something, and I am hoping I might be wrong, is the threat of an existence even greater than Kaguya herself, and with Kaguya and the White Zetsu army now gone for good, that threat might soon appear in this very era we're on. Silence then filled the conference room. A mere thought of a threat greater than the goddess of chakra alone was too much to handle, even for cages like them. You mean, there's actually something more powerful than Kaguya was out there, somewhere? Sakura exclaimed. It's definitely a possibility, and it actually won't be that surprising if it is not just a single being, but multiple beings, each with around the same level of power as her, Sasuke replied monotonously. So what now? How do we tell the populace about such a threat? The entire world was just in the middle of recuperating from the effects of all the previous wars that this world has been through, Materumi asked in a downcasted expression. We won't tell anyone, for now, Unoki said in a resolute tone. It might be a very logical hypothesis, but still no different than a hunch. We will need to mobilize preparations within the shadows like we always used to. For now, let an old man like me enjoy my tenure before I step down as a Tsuchikage. That's right. Sasuke nodded. For now, I'll just continue my investigation regarding the matter, and I need to act alone. Do not let my actions be known aside from those who are in attendance in this room. I'll continue my top secret mission. Are you sure you don't want me to tag along, Sasuke? Naruto asked. No need. Someone like you needs to stay in the village, Sasuke replied. You have just returned after your mission, and besides, it will only create unnecessary problems if you come with me. Harsh as always, eh? Naruto sighed in defeat. But still, what kind of training did you do for it to be considered as an S-class mission? Sakura asked, more in a complaining tone. I bet Sasuke and even me can do whatever S-rank training mission you've been through. I did it to complete my training course as the next Toad Sage, as the Arrow Sennin's successor, Naruto said with a sad smile. Everyone in the room understood what Naruto meant. The former Toad Sage, Jiraiya, was a very important person for Naruto's growth. As a shinobi and as a person, the old sage sacrificed his life to create a better future for the blonde shinobi, and that sacrifice became one of the most important stepping stones that made the world as it is right now. So, you're now a fully trained, certified Toad Sage, Naruto. Kakashi said with an eye smile. Yeah, and I'll make sure to make Arrow Sennin proud. Naruto replied with his usual confident grin. However, I still have one question. I know that we have already talked about this since the previous Cage Summit, but you can't blame me for being redundant. Raikage asked with a serious expression, is it really alright for all the 9 Bijus to be sealed into one person? Ain't that will give too much power to that single person, let alone the village he's affiliated with? Everyone in the conference room, except Sasuke and Sakura, looked towards Kakashi, then at Naruto. Kakashi looked towards the Raikage with unwavering eyes while Naruto simply scratched the back of his head with a goofy expression. Indeed, after the Fourth Shinobi World War, both the Yin and the Yang Kurama decided to stay and be sealed within Naruto. As the Ninetales have grown too accustomed to the only Jinchuriki whom he actually had a mutual connection with, however, due to them being separated for too long, both Kyubis have regenerated their lost halves and such, technically became separate entities with each of their respective chakra prowess comparable to that of their chakra level before being split in half by the 4th Hokage's Shiki Fujin. This made Naruto the Jinchuriki of the 2 Kyubis. However, after an Moon incident, all the other Bijus, from Shukaku to Gyuki, have decided to also be sealed together within Naruto despite some protests from Raikage and Mizukage under the pretense of absolute power corrupts absolutely. However, it was the tailed beasts themselves that decided to be sealed within Naruto out of their own free will, with their reasoning that some powerful beings like another Otsutsuki might still be lurking out there. So Naruto needs as much power as he could acquire to combat such threats, and the decision became a done deal after the threat of Tonari Otsutsuki. Kakashi also reasoned that while the hidden villages and the entirety of the elemental nations approved a treaty to never approach the tailed beasts again, some half-baked hidden organizations tried to abduct some of the Bijus to use their power or control them. While the Bijus were able to fend them off and the offenders were apprehended and punished accordingly, Kakashi pointed out that as long as there were such individuals, the Bijus will always be considered as tools to be used to stir chaos within the shinobi world. And since Naruto already has a fragment of all the tailed beasts that he acquired during the Fourth War, it became a sound agreement that Naruto should become the Jinchuriki of all the tailed beasts, as he was the only shinobi capable of properly communicating and has a mutual connection with them. Well, I know that you guys still were wary about it, but, Naruto said with a small smile. The Bijus were like siblings created by the Sage of the Six Paths directly from the Jubi. They were roaming all over the land for centuries, treated as dangerous beings, being used as tools, and using them as such were one of the main reasons why our world became as it is. However, they are still their own individual, they have their own wills. Ain't it a bit too much to still treat them as tools and weapons just because of their power, and still not treat them as another sentient being just like the rest of us? The Raikage looked seriously towards Naruto. Octopops treated the Hachibi as a comrade. You know that better than anyone else, Raikage old man. It was painful for Gyuki to leave Octopops behind. But he still left him fragments of his chakra as his pseudo-Jinchuriki. It is proof that they have a strong bond. What I mean to say is, it's not like I want to become the Jinchuriki of all the tailed beasts. And also that doesn't mean that I don't like them either to be with me. This is their choice. They want to do their part in preserving our current peace. If we still can't accept their own choice, aren't we just the same as Madara and Kaguya who intended to impose their will against us? Naruto-kun. Hinata looked towards Naruto with sad, understanding eyes. Now she finally understood why Naruto accepted the S-rank training mission. Silence filled the room for a few tens of seconds after Naruto's speech, and as if to break the ice. Sasuke lightly grunted. Anyways, I believe that sage training wasn't the only thing you did for more than a year. Well, of course, you've been refining your mastery over Rinnegan during the same time period, right? Naruto said with a confident smirk, so I need some few additional tricks up my sleeve to level the playing field. Interesting, Sasuke said with a smirk. Why don't we have a little spar then? Since we still don't have any concrete information of what lies ahead, and with the two of us might be the only ones capable of battling against an Otsutsuki, I need to have an overview of what you're currently capable of. Yeah, I also am training while thinking of how I will be able to fight properly against you and your powerful eyes, Sasuke. Naruto smirked towards his best friend and rival, to the training grounds, then. Wait, you two. Kakashi halted his former students. I can't allow the two of you to do your spar on the regular training grounds. You might accidentally destroy the village if things got too heated up. In that case, Sasuke then created a space-time portal using his Rinnegan eyes. With my current mastery over Rinnegan, I am capable of doing this space-time portal. With this, I can travel through Kaguya's dimensions and continue doing my investigation about the Otsutsukis. So we'll be doing our thing in there, right? Naruto replied. Yes, however, my mastery over this space-time jutsu is still quite low and consumes a lot of chakra, so I can only take a few of you with me. So the Naruto, Sasuke, the 5 cages, with Hinata and Sakura, Kakashi announced. Everyone in the room reluctantly agreed, as if they were also interested in how things will turn out. The right-hand shinobi of each cage, on the other hand, didn't rebut, as they accepted to be left behind. Once we arrived at one of Kaguya's dimensions, I'll have Sakura patch up the chakra I used for this jutsu's activation, because I have a feeling that doing this spar against you with such handicap won't do me any good, Sasuke said as he walked inside the portal. Sakura nodded in response. The cages agreed as they followed the Rinnegan user within the portal, then followed by Sakura. Naruto then looked towards Hinata, then gave her a comforting smirk. Sorry, Hinata. As much as I want to spend time with you right after I return, things became like this. We need to do this one way or another, but I promise you that we'll spend time together right after this. Yes, I missed you so much. Hinata leaned her head softly into Naruto's shoulder. Just be careful out there, okay? Naruto then flashed his signature grin towards his loving girlfriend as the two walked together as they enter the portal. Scene change. The 5 cages with Sakura and Hinata stood in one of the elevated grounds of Kaguya Otsutsuki's Genesis dimension. Just like in the shinobi world, a moon was visible thousands of kilometers above the ground, and it was no other than the 6 paths, Chibaku Tensei, that Naruto and Sasuke have created to seal the goddess of chakra during the climax of the 4th Shinobi World War. Standing a few hundred meters away from them were Naruto and Sasuke, tens of meters away from each other. The two looked towards each other, both with a confident grin and slight seriousness in their gestures. I won during our first battle. I admitted my loss on the second battle. Both happened at the Valley of the End, Sasuke said in monotone. Both of us have a lot on our shoulders back then, Naruto replied, but this time, we'll be fighting as fellow shinobi of Konoha, as equals. And with a flick of the blowing wind, the two vanished from where they were currently standing, followed by a massive impact and succeeding shockwaves in a fragment of a second. Naruto and Sasuke's arms clashed simultaneously, creating a massive crater of shattered rocks below them due to the sudden impact, followed by a massive gust of wind that could be felt by the cages despite being a few hundred meters away from the two. Sasuke then leapt back while Naruto skidded backwards. The Uchiha then transformed his Sharingan into Eternal Mangekyo, then projected a miniature Susanoo skeletal arm extending down from his destroyed left arm, supplementing the said missing limb. He then summoned 8 regular-sized shurikens, 4 on his right hand and another 4 on his left hand, and then sharply threw them towards Naruto. The Uzumaki, on the other hand, summoned a tri-pronged kunai on both hands, much to the surprise of Kakashi and the Raikage as both of them were quite familiar with that weapon. Naruto then deflected the incoming set of shurikens using the said special kunais. The very moment that he deflected all the shurikens, Sasuke appeared right in front of him, his own sword equipped on his right hand aiming to slash Naruto using a diagonal side swing. Naruto deflected the sword slash with his tri-pronged kunai on his left hand, then aimed to slash Sasuke with the other kunai on his right hand. The Uchiha dodged narrowly, with Naruto cutting a part of the Uchiha's cape. However, Sasuke's still active, Susanoo's left arm aimed to punch the blonde shinobi, but Naruto tilted his head to also narrowly dodge the blow. The two continued to clash, defending and attacking in hair's breadth, through skillful use of taijutsu and bukijutsu for a few more seconds, with unbelievable speed and accuracy. Some of their deflected attacks even created shockwaves and wind slashes that could reach a few tens to hundreds of meters. How is this even possible? Sakura muttered in surprise. Sasuke-kun was using his Sharingan, yet Naruto was able to fight on par with him in such close proximity. I always thought that hand-to-hand combat was one of Naruto's exploitable weaknesses. I bet the Toad sages drilled it to his head, Kakashi replied to Sakura, but still have a surprised expression on his face. Despite Sasuke using the Sharingan's precognitive visual abilities, Naruto was still able to fight toe-to-toe against him. And the only way for me to think how Naruto can be able to do this was because of his senjutsu's precognitive sensing ability. But, Naruto was clearly not yet in sage mode, doesn't he? Mei Terumi asked in a side glance towards Kakashi. Might be a stretch, but not entirely impossible, that Naruto might be able to use at least senjutsu's precognitive sensing despite not entering sage mode right now after his training. And besides, even before his S-rank training mission, Naruto had already vastly improved his hand-to-hand combat skills. According to the reports, he was able to easily fend off hundreds of Tonari Otsutsuki's puppets that invaded Konoha while attempting to save Hinata with mere taijutsu. For an overview of how impressive that feat was, Hiyashi Hyuga, the Hyuga clan leader who specialized in taijutsu, barely survived the battle against 10 of those same kinds of puppets beforehand. Kakashi answered without taking his eyes off the battle. But I think that's not just all, right, Raikage. That brat, for him to use those damn forsaken kunais. Raikage narrowed his eyes, remembering the weapons that Naruto was currently using. It would also not be a stretch if he can now also use the 4th Hokage's specialty just you. You mean, that jutsu? Tsuchikage Onoki muttered with a surprised expression, as he suddenly remembered that those were the same weapons that Minato Namikaze used to single-handedly wipe out an army of 1,000 troops from his village that earned him a flea on-site command from the opposing army during the Third Shinobi World War. The successors of the Sage of the Six Paths distanced each other from themselves after another heated exchange, both not having any hint of exhaustion from the earlier skirmish. Naruto then performed his own signature jutsu, creating 2 copies of Kage Bunshin on both sides. As if I'd let you, Sasuke then needed chakra within him, then fired a massive fire-based jutsu as he landed back on the ground. Kaden. Goukameikiyaku. That was Madara's. Gaara said in surprise. The massive fire jutsu enveloped the land, its potency shaking the battlefield. Indeed, it was one of Madara Uchiha's signature fire jutsu, but Sasuke's version was now more potent and powerful than the said legendary Uchiha. Naruto-kun, Hinata muttered in a worried tone to her fiancé. As the massive fire jutsu scorched the battlefield, an eerie, whirling sound echoed beneath the flaming land, and in an instant, a Rasenshuriken pierced the Kaiden Jutsu, dividing the massive flames in half, dashing at massive speeds towards Sasuke. The Uchiha then extended his right arm, attempting to use the chakra absorption ability of the Rinnegan against the incoming Rasenshuriken, despite the incoming jutsu being an S-rank technique. With Naruto's current skills and level, Sasuke assumed that this jutsu was just a mere distraction against him in preparation for additional succeeding attacks, so he already anticipated to counterattack even with the smallest opening. However, at the last moment, before the jutsu came in contact and be absorbed by the Rinnegan user, it popped, revealing one of the tri-prong kunai that he used on their earlier clash, and the timing of dispelling the transformation caught Sasuke literally off guard. Right now, with a moment's hesitation even for a fraction of a second, the tri-prong kunai will land and inflict some serious physical damage on his right arm. So he used his own signature space-time jutsu, the Amenetejikara, to swap places with incoming kunai. The said tri-prong kunai was now behind Sasuke, continuing its streak forward, distancing itself away from the Uchiha. And as Sasuke anticipated, two more Rasenshurikens appeared in a semicircular, arcing direction, each incoming from both his sides. The two incoming Rasenshurikens pierced the divided remnants of Sasuke's earlier fire jutsu, creating a majestic scene for the spectators, but for Sasuke, this is not the time to join the others' amazement. The Rinnegan user immediately extended both his right arm and his Susanoo limb left arm, and then performed another Rinnegan-specific jutsu. Shinra Tensai. The repelling impact of the jutsu dispelled the incoming Rasenshurikens at the last second from both his sides while also creating a crater beneath him in the process. He could have just maneuvered himself to dodge or deflect the Rasenshurikens, but due to the earlier surprise transformation attack from his rival, he cannot take chances and get caught off guard once again, so repelling all the incoming attacks and recomposing himself even for a few seconds will be enough for him to regain his footing and perform a counter-offensive. But just as the Shinra Tensai's repulsive force subside, Sasuke's precognitive visuals saw another incoming tri-prong kunai aimed, but this time, Sasuke used his sword and aimed to repel the incoming kunai using the said weapon. However, much to Sasuke's surprise, before he could deflect the incoming kunai, Naruto appeared a few meters behind him, grabbing the first tri-prong kunai that he targeted through Amenetejikara a few seconds earlier. "I knew it, this jutsu, the fourths," Sasuke muttered as he gave a side glance to Naruto that used Hiraishin on the earlier kunai. The said Naruto then pivoted himself mid-air, then threw the same Hiraishin kunai back towards Sasuke at massive speeds. So this was his aim, to take advantage of Shinra Tensai and Amenetejikara's cooldown window and attack me with one decisive strike. Sasuke then resolved to continue blocking the second incoming kunai in front of him using his sword, and right after, intended to immediately maneuver himself to deflect the other kunai that was thrown by Naruto behind him. As his sword was about to deflect its intended target, another Naruto flashed towards his sword's targeted kunai, then used the same kunai to block the sword that was swung to deflect it, once again surprising Sasuke, with his sword swing being stalled by a Kage Bunshin. The kunai thrown by the other Naruto from behind can now hit him with Sasuke not being able to defend himself. That's why. To think that you would drive me to corner like this, you have grown, Naruto. However, Sasuke immediately cast and clad himself with the skeletal ribcage of Susanoo, just in time to protect himself from the kunai aimed at him from behind, then proceeded to cut down the Kage Bunshin in front of him using one of his Susanoo's swords. Upon seeing the opposing Susanoo, the original Naruto who was behind Sasuke immediately leapt away, creating considerable distance from the massive chakra construct. The Uchiha then began aiming and firing multiple chakra arrows from the projected bow by his half-body Susanoo. The blonde shinobi began dodging Susanoo's long-distance attacks while Sasuke began firing more and more arrows. This time, the cooldown of his Shinra Tensai and Amenetejikara has been reset, with Sasuke resolving to only use the said jutsus once he felt like he was in a much direr situation than before. He immediately understood that due to Naruto having fought plenty of Rinnegan users, he already knew its weaknesses and that he was now capable of devising numerous unpredictable attack patterns against those who wield such powerful eyes. Naruto then leapt high, about a few good hundreds of meters above the ground. Naruto then sharply threw the single Hiraishin kunai from his hand towards the morphing Susanoo. However, Sasuke aimed to deflect that Hiraishin kunai and hit Naruto at the same time with his Susanoo's arrow. "If you will not access your transformations, Then I will no longer intend to prolong this battle, Sasuke said as he fired the Susanoo's arrow, its trajectory aimed directly towards Naruto and his speeding kunai. Naruto simply smirked, and with a completed hand seal, Tajuu kunai kage bunshin no jutsu. The lone thrown tri-pronged kunai then multiplied from tens to hundreds, and all the multiplied kunais rained down towards Sasuke and his Susanoo. Naruto, on the other hand, created a Rasengan to block and shatter the chakra arrow fired towards him by Sasuke's Susanoo. The impact sent him hurling further above the ground. The Susanoo barely received any damage due to the rain of kunais. While still wary, Sasuke wondered why Naruto fired such mere kunai against the impenetrable defense of his Susanoo. However, he can't take his eyes away from Naruto right now, or he will be once again bombarded by chains of various unpredictable jutsus. Congo FUSA. And with a single hand seal while still flinging midair, Naruto's voice suddenly echoed on the battlefield. In that instance, multiple chakra chains emerged from the tip of the handle of each Hiraishin kunais that was pinned from the ground. The so-called adamantine chakra chains, a sealing jutsu that can only be used by those from Uzumaki clan with powerful chakra and life force, suddenly completely wrapped Sasuke's half-body Susanoo. This is similar to Karen's chains. No, this is much stronger. Sasuke muttered once again in surprise. The chakra chains began tightening one after another, and each layer of wrapped chains started to inflict damage on the struggling Susanoo, forming cracks on each part of its body. Sasuke gritted his teeth, as he began channeling additional chakra to his Susanoo to prevent it from totally breaking apart and inflicting huge damage to him. On the other hand, on the apex of the impact between Naruto's Rasengan and Sasuke's chakra arrow, Naruto began descending, with another massive jutsu in tow. Amenomihashira. Naruto fired a massive semi-translucent sphere charged from both his hands that were cupped together to one certain point. The semi-translucent sphere was acting as a pseudo-container for the swirling multiple regular-sized Rasengan within it. Wooaahhhh. Sasuke began releasing his full power, as his Susanoo began glowing within the bindings of Naruto's chakra chains. The Susanoo began increasing its size, shattering the chakra chains that were binding it simultaneously, and with one mighty yell, the chakra chains shattered, as the perfect Susanoo was formed, blowing away and popping all the Hiraishin kunai clones that were spread all over the ground. However, it was too late for Sasuke to realize as the Amenomihashira was already halfway towards him and his perfect Susanoo. Sasuke then used his perfect Susanoo's sword to slash the incoming sphere that enclosed multiple Rasengans. The slash created a massive crevice in the ground below, enough to fit a mountain range or two. However, as the sphere of Amenomihashira dispersed, the multiple amounts of Rasengan swirling within it have been released and continued their aim towards Sasuke's ethereal construct. Naruto landed on the ground, and with a single hand seal, the multiple Rasengan then transformed into Rasenshurikens. Each of the Rasenshurikens landed on the right side of the perfect Susanoo, shattering major parts of the chakra construct in the process. Amazing! Sakura has her mouth hanging, together with the other cages watching the scene. Naruto's combination of shinobi fundamentals, Hiraishin, Kage Bunshin, and such was able to fight and even once again corner a Rinnegan user, and he did all these without entering any of his power-ups. Hinata, on the other hand, while she also felt surprised, was more proud of how strong Naruto is right now. Some shinobi said that Naruto was only strong due to him having access to Tailed Beast's power, but this time, he was clearly showing his full potential without using any of his power-ups. Just imagining the combination of Kage Bunshin and Hiraishin will be more than enough to keep his opponents at wit's end. However, shall we continue? Sasuke, Naruto said calmly with a small smirk on his face. He still has the same confident smirk, but his calm demeanor was entirely different than the usual boisterous self that he used to have up to the end of the Fourth Shinobi War. Yeah, Sasuke replied, this time, with a much more serious expression. His perfect Susanoo was now levitating a few hundred meters above the ground, its form fully restored after the earlier damage, his serious eyes fixated on the one challenging him and driving him to the corner. After all, he didn't expect Naruto to grow this much. Sure, he was also training to fully master the abilities that he acquired from the Sage of the Six Paths and his Rinnegan, and was quite sure that his mastery over these powers can now even rival that of Uchiha Madara. But the level of Naruto's growth greatly surprised him to the point that he is quite envious of him. The Uchiha shook his head, He was already able to finally let go of this darkness within his heart during the last time he fought with Naruto. Despite the crimes he committed, the shinobi nation still accepted him. That's why he will never betray that trust again. If Naruto had grown this much, the more reason for him to also try harder and continue surpassing his closest friend. On the other hand, Naruto clapped both his hands in front of his chest. His eyes now closed. The supposed to be prosthetic arm created from Hashirama's cells now became a natural part of his body, as if it was now his own flesh and blood. Naruto knew by himself that this was likely because both he and the first Hokage were transmigrants of one of the Sage of the Six Paths sons, Ashura Otsutsuki, so the first Hokage's and his very own flesh, chakra, and life force melded properly after continuously training with the toads during the past year. And as he opened his eyes, he released a torrent of massive chakra that greatly surprised everyone watching the fight, including Sasuke. This chakra, Sasuke muttered as he felt a shiver down his spine. Sure though, the chakra he was feeling right now wasn't on the level as that of Kaguya Otsutsuki, but his body remembered the fear he felt when he first felt such a potent, powerful chakra, is similar to the first Hokage. No, this chakra levels now surpassed that of the firsts. The chakra that Naruto emitted shook the ground and caused the atmosphere around them to tremble. Then, the chakra enveloped him into a dense, thick cloak akin to Biju chakra mode, albeit a version way different than his past power-ups. Naruto was now clad in a bluish-white chakra shroud, the shroud itself radiating flickering flame-like chakra reminiscent of Tonari Otsutsuki's Tenseigan chakra mode, and the most surprising part is that the form also has 10 truth-seeking balls levitating in a circular pattern behind him. What is that form? Sasuke asked with narrowed eyes. His voice was low enough for the cages not to hear them despite him being on his perfect Susanoo. Ashura chakra mode, Naruto muttered calmly in more or less the same volume of voice as Sasuke's, a chakra mode that can be used by those who were able to mutate their Byakugan to Tenseigan. The form itself was used by the Six Paths Old Mon's brother, Hamura Otsutsuki, so that both of them can fight together against the 10 Tails from the past. But you don't have the Tenseigan, let alone the Byakugan, Sasuke retorted. How come you can access such transformation? Well, this wasn't the Tenseigan chakra mode to begin with, but it is from the same concept. When Hamura departed from Earth to Moon to guard Kaguya's sealed body, he left a scroll to the Six Paths Old Man. That scroll contained the secrets of accessing this specific jutsu. Hamura said that the said scroll must be given to the person whom Hagoromo will choose as the successor of Ninshu. Naruto continued, and that was Ashura Otsutsuki, as we knew it. And the Sage of the Six Paths gave that scroll to Ashura to give him a better chance while fighting against Indra, the son who inherited his powerful chakra and eyes, and that same scroll was stored for eons on Mount Myokobu, waiting for someone capable of unlocking it like Ashura, Sasuke summarized, but that still doesn't answer my question. Well, the Tenseigan chakra mode indeed was only accessible to Tenseigan users, but according to Hamura's scroll, it was a misconception. Naruto then continued with a smirk. The Tenseigan merely acts as a cheat to bypass the requirements to unlock that power. After all, the main requirement was for a shinobi to have multiple chakra origins that were compatible with each other and meld them together. However, it can only be melded through certain conditions. In Ashura's case, it was his own chakra and the Sage of the Six Paths chakra being compatible and melding together, creating a more powerful chakra that allowed Ashura to access that chakra mode despite not having Tenseigan. After all, he is not even a Hyuga to begin with. That's why it was named Ashura chakra mode. That's also why Ashura was able to enter chakra modes and even use Biju mode like chakra avatars capable of fighting against Indra's perfect Susanoo despite him not being a Jinchuriki on his own. So in my case, since I have my own chakra, then with the installation of my right arm, an arm created from the first Hokage's DNA and chakra itself, my body was suddenly able to contain additional chakra origin from the first Hokage himself, and that happened to be completely compatible with mine since both of us are Ashura's transmigrants. I see, however, a lot of other shinobi such as Danzo and Madara used the first Hokage's DNA, but how come they weren't able to unlock that power? There is an additional requirement, doesn't it? Sasuke asked again. It is a concept similar to Mangekyo to Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. To access such amounts of power, a requirement or sacrifice must be met in return. There are multiple requirements according to the Elder Toad Sage. 1. The multiple chakra origin must be compatible with each other. you can't mix oil and water, right? Second, it can only be unlocked by a shinobi with huge amount of chakra reserves and life force. According to the Toad Sages, the chakra modes require huge amount of chakra to activate. It requires a certain threshold of chakra for the user to even access it. For example, chakra modes require at least 1000 units to be accessible and 500 units to maintain up to a specific amount of time. A regular shinobi only has 50 units more or less. I am merely making up those numbers and units. In fact, it might be far greater than that actually, but that's the overview more or less. Third, both chakra origins in question should be on the same level, more or less. It is because even if the chakra origins are compatible, but if not on the same level, then one of the chakra origins will override or consume the other. That's why I still trained hard so that my very own chakra, without Biju's influence, to reach the levels of the first Hokages before trying to access the chakra mode. Fourth, despite meeting the above three conditions, the original chakra origin and the other chakra origin must be able to meld together and make the original chakra origin of the user evolve into an entirely new, more potent chakra, because some chakra might be compatible, but they will create different results, just like that of Madara using Hashirama's chakra and DNA, but the end result will be the creation of Rinnegan. This chakra mode, however, is the byproduct of such compatibility. Even if the two chakras are compatible, the end result may be different and might result in a different kind of power, let alone if that power itself will manifest, or if the user has enough chakra and life force to contain that power. So basically, it is impossible for almost anyone other than you to use the chakra mode unless they cheat away and use a Tenseigen. Sasuke sighed in defeat. Lastly, does this Ashura chakra mode of yours is capable of stacking with your other modes? Naruto simply grinned in confidence. Sasuke then simply closed his eyes. If this Ashura chakra mode, a power-up created by melding Naruto and the first Hokage's potent chakras, with both of which being already Biju levels in their own right, then he can't just imagine how powerful Naruto would be if the blonde shinobi ever stack it even with, at the very least, his already formidable sage mode. However, more than anything, the Uchiha can't believe that someone like Naruto, a certified school dropout, can make a very cohesive, technical explanation just like what he just heard right now. However, part of him doesn't even want to know what kind of nightmarish training he has gone through for him to be able to dish out such information right off the bat. If Naruto was able to explain something like this, then it really was an S-rank training mission that can only be completed by no one except Naruto himself. I guess that's it for now. Sasuke then dispelled his perfect Susanoo, then landed on his feet. During our days in the academy, you're always trying to keep up with me. During the war, you have shown your growth and are able to surpass me, and this time, I am the one having a hard time keeping up with you. Well, I guess I just matured quite a bit, ahahaha, Naruto said, scratching the back of his head as he dispelled his Ashura chakra mode. The two of them then began walking towards each other. I actually still have plenty of other tricks on my sleeve. But that's enough for now. I don't want to reveal all my new abilities since the others are also watching. We might be at peace right now, but this era still is a blank period. The current peace that we have was still very fragile, and one wrong move could incite conflict once again, and with the other Otsutsukis possibly lurking somewhere, it would be best to keep getting stronger and prepare for whatever future might hold, Sasuke muttered while walking towards Naruto as well. Yeah, we will keep getting stronger so we can protect those who are dear to us. We already have lost a lot. I don't want to keep losing anyone anymore, Naruto said while looking towards the moon of the Genesis dimension, the two of them now standing just a few meters away from each other. The 5 cages, Sakura and Hinata then also approached the two powerful shinobi. Hinata immediately ran towards Naruto's right side and lightly hugged him, while Sakura also approached Sasuke with a smile, with the Uchiha returning the gesture with a small one. That ending was rather, well, anticlimactic, Kakashi said with a wry smile. This is for the better. We don't want the two of them to get hurt just because of a mere spar, Gaara followed a response. But still, with the two of you with such powers being official shinobi of the Hidden Leaf, there is definitely an imbalance of power between the nations right now, Raikage said with bitterness in his words. And that itself was the reason why the daimyos were taking action right now. Maiterumi ushered in, earning the attention of the 4 younger shinobi that was together with them. The daimyos of the elemental nations are taking action. What do you mean? Sakura asked on behalf of Naruto, Hinata, and Sasuke, with the former two having confused expressions while Sasuke narrowed his eyes. Hokage, how come the shinobi of your village still wasn't familiar with the latest law that was announced for implementation by the daimyos during our last closed-door meeting with them? Unoki lightly yelled towards Kakashi. Well, Naruto and Sasuke still weren't in the village yet by then, Kakashi replied, his expression now serious. If I will announce such absurd law, then it would be best to announce it to clan heads of the village with both these two in attendance. After all, these two will definitely be the most affected shinobi once that law was fully implemented. And what is that law, Kakashi? Sasuke said with a glare. Naruto also found himself looking towards Kakashi with a much serious expression. 2 days from now, Kakashi replied, I already have the Hokage office staff to contact all the clan heads and their prospective successors for a meeting on that schedule, and I will announce this new law by then. Why do I have this feeling that this is indeed a very troublesome situation? Naruto said as he crossed his arm in front of his chest. It is, in all sense, very troublesome, Kakashi retorted, but, before anything else, I tried my best to reason out why that law should be implemented, or at the very least, be revised in favor of the shinobi who will not be in favor with it, but it seemed like, the daimyos have some other plans. Naruto and Sasuke then looked towards each other. This definitely has something to do with us. Their thoughts are conveyed to each other with just eye contact. Very well, then you're on your own now, Hokage, Raikage then said seriously. The backlash from the 4 other hidden village due to the implementation of that law was not that good, but it has to be done. We might have achieved peace right now, but the daimyos are aiming for another kind of war, so prepare yourselves. It would be better to return to our home dimension so that we can depart from Konoha right after. Our villages are still dealing with that law, and we don't want to get caught up into possible trouble once Konoha announces and starts implementing that law in the next few days, Unoki said as he began levitating. Sasuke then cast his Rinnegan space-time portal, the Mizukage, Tsuchikage, and Raikage entered immediately. Gaara then approached Naruto and placed a hand on his right shoulder. Once you have heard the new law and come to terms with it, I would like to have a personal talk with you in Suna. There is someone from my village who desperately needs to talk to you, Gaara said in a serious tone, and it would be for the better if you would take Lady Hinata with you, as your fiancé. Naruto and Hinata then gave a confused expressions towards Gaara. As the cage bowed and entered the portal, Naruto and Hinata looked towards each other and tightly held each other's hands. Smells like another trouble for you, huh? Hinata said with a small smile. Yeah, one after another, Naruto just sighed, but for now, let's enjoy our time together. I have a feeling that the day after tomorrow is gonna be a long day. The lone Uzumaki and the Hyuga princess entered the portal, then followed by Sasuke and Sakura. I really have a bad feeling about this law, Sasuke muttered. Don't worry too much about it, Sakura replied with a reassuring smile. No matter what happens, I'll always be by your side. Sasuke then gave Sakura a small smile as the portal disappeared from the side of the Genesis dimension. Konoha's main exit gate. The cages, together with their escorts, were now preparing to depart from Konoha with Kakashi, Naruto, and Shikamaru bidding them a formal farewell. Till next time then, Raikage said to Kakashi, then shifted his attention to Naruto. Next time, I would like to test my speed against you. Both you using the Ninetales chakra and your father using the Hiraishin were the only ones who surpassed my speed, but that doesn't mean I'll take that loss. I am much faster now than ever before. If that's the case then, what's stopping me to combine Hiraishin and Kurama's chakra mode to outspeed you once again, if ever you're still faster than me on my current base speed, Raikage old man? Naruto replied with a mischievous grin. Hey, learning to bark now, aren't we? Raikage replied with a smirk. Give my regards to Octopops, Naruto muttered. Raikage and Darui then nodded. Better be careful, kid, since you already have all the tailed beasts in you, you'll be the sole target of those other hidden organizations intending to use the Biju's powers and stir chaos once again, Unoki said to Naruto. We know that, Naruto replied with a small smile, but that's for the better. That way, it is an open book that I am their target right now. No one else will get involved, and if they ever try to use those who are close to me just to get through me, then I'll make sure that they'll regret it. That's the thing, Materumi added. You can overpower those organizations easily as you are right now, but that doesn't mean that they cannot use your own power against you. They can easily set you up by forcing you into a situation where you have no choice but to use the Biju powers, and with information manipulation, make the world think that you're a threat against the current peace that we have. Point taken. Thanks, Mizukage-sama, Naruto said with a respectful smile, but that also itself is the reason why I trained hard this past year, and so, I need to be able to fight as a proper shinobi without relying too much on the Biju powers, unless we're fighting beings on absurd levels like the Otsutsukis. I'll do my best not to use the Biju powers, or that will beat the reason why I am currently protecting them. I don't want to use their powers as tools as much as possible. The Mizukage and the Tsuchikage smiled after seeing Naruto's resolute expression regarding the matter. After all, they have seen it during the previous spar against Uchiha Sasuke. Naruto's fundamentals have grown, to the point that his arsenal alone will earn him a flea-in-sight warrant like that of his father if ever a war against the hidden villages ever happens to break out again. But no, not this time. They weren't fools to try waging war against Konoha right now with Uzumaki, Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke around. However, much to Shikamaru's surprise, none of the cages were still mentioning anything about the law intended to be implemented by the daimyos. He's merely listening to the pleasantries between Naruto and the cages, intending to only interrupt if ever the said still confidential law was opened up before Kakashi officially announced it to the clan heads of the Hidden Leaf, but it seems like they don't intend to say anything for now. Naruto, we'll be on our way now, Gaara said with a kind smile. Naruto nodded with his usual grin. Remember what I told you last time, I'll be looking forward to your visit to Suna. Yeah, I promise, Naruto replied with a hint of seriousness. The other cages, together with their shinobi aides, including Kakashi and Shikamaru, looked towards Gaara after hearing the cage's words. Some were painted with a serious expression, some wary, some in confusion. The cage then walked away, with Kankuro lightly bowing to Konoha's entourage. The other cages followed suit, as they used their speed to begin jumping into the nearest tree branches. What are you talking about with the cage? Kakashi asked Naruto. Does the two of you have an agreement without consulting us first? Shikamaru also asked. None. Gaara simply said that he wanted me to visit Suna, together with Hinata. Naruto grinned. I believe it is just a friend visiting a friend. If it is some political issue or sort, I bet he'd rather talk to you two than me, and if it happens that our talk ever lean to the political side, I'll immediately withdraw from that talk. Good, if that's really the case, Kakashi sighed. Is it concerning this new confidential law that is intended to be implemented by the daimyos, but not yet officially being implemented in Konoha? Naruto asked, his expression serious. Kakashi and Shikamaru didn't reply. After all, only the two of them among all of Konoha currently knew of the said law, and while the two already have discussed how they should deal with the new law, it would be better for them to proceed as planned without telling Naruto and Sasuke about it yet. Scene change. I am home. Naruto opened the door of his apartment. This is the very same apartment that he used to live in since his childhood. Even after everything that he's been through, this place has still remained the same, a place that always welcomed him, where he can rest his tired self, mind, and soul. However, ever since the moon incident, things have been different for him, in a more positive note. That's why now, more than ever, he's looking forward to something special each time he opened that same door since then. Welcome home, Naruto-kun, he was greeted by a cheerful yet soft voice. Hello, Hinata, sorry I got held back a bit, Naruto greeted as he removed his sandals and hung his sage cloak on the hanger hook behind the door. It's fine, I am almost done cooking dinner. I prepared some of your favorite dishes, not ramen though, Hinata replied as he smiled at her fiancé. Naruto lightly blushed as he looked towards the girl in front of her. He knew she was a very beautiful person, not just in appearance, and ever since the moon mission up to the day before he departed for his S-rank training mission, he just realized how lucky of a guy he is because he was deeply loved by someone like her. She was, after all, the Byakugan princess from the prestigious Hyuga clan, yet she chose to love someone like him ever since their childhood days. Back then, his infatuation was with Sakura, but as they mature, and seeing how Sakura was truly in love with Sasuke, and despite the so-called confession from her pink-head Kunoichi teammate before the war, that was when he realized that Sakura will never like him back as a person of opposite sex. As a man, That was also when he realized that his feelings for him were not love, it was just him trying to compete with Sasuke in every way possible, and that included Sakura's affection. After admitting their love for each other during the moon incident, Naruto and Hinata became near inseparable. Most of the time, when not on missions, the two were often seen together, enjoying their time with each other to the fullest, just like right now, as if both of them have gotten accustomed to. Hinata was cooking dinner for the both of them in Naruto's apartment. She's wearing her usual casual attire topped with an apron, her hair tied in low ponytail while doing her kitchen duties. Hinata stood in front of Naruto after the blonde shinobi removed his pair of sandals. The two of them smiled at each other, then hugged each other tightly. "I missed you so much, Hinata," Naruto whispered to her ears while gently hugging the girl. "I also missed you, Naruto-kun," Hinata replied as she buried her face in Naruto's chest. A small hint of tears were forming in both her eyes. "I am sorry that I've left you behind for so long," Naruto said, still not letting go while stroking the back of Hinata's head with his right hand. "I almost lost you against Tonari. That's why I need to get much stronger so I can protect you properly next time. That's the least I can do for you after loving someone as dense as me for years without noticing your feelings." "You don't have to say that. Like you have said, I have already waited for you for years, and I am willing to wait for you no matter what," Hinata replied as she looked up at her lover. "Even right now, I still can't believe that I can be able to hug you like this. I am no longer just standing from a distance, watching your back. I can now stand and stay by your side. That's why I'll never, ever let go of you, no matter what." The two tightened their hug, enjoying the warmth of each other, the warmth that they never felt for the past year, and so, the two then let go, once again smiled at each other, then proceed to the kitchen with Naruto sitting on the dining table while Hinata served her newly cooked dishes. The lone Uzumaki and the Hyuga heiress then spend their time together that dinner, with Hinata telling stories that happened to Konoha during Naruto's absence, while Naruto told Hinata some parts of his gruesome training experience with the toads of Mount Myokobu. After dinner, Naruto took Hinata back to the Hyuga manor, then the two bid farewell to each other for the meantime. Scene change. Hokage Tower, conference room. The conference hall was now filled with the major clan heads and their prospective successors. The Akamaiki, Inuzuka, Aburame, Yamanaka, and such were now sitting on a huge, circular table. Indeed, this group of clan heads is now the new members composing the new Konoha Council. The former Konoha Council, consisting of the elders of the village, has been disbanded by Tsunade after the war before handing the Hokage seat to Kakashi. Since they were involved in conspiracies that negatively affect Konoha's political side in favor of their own personal gains with the deceased former candidate for the Hokage position, Danzo Shimura, Kakashi then established a voting system that allowed the clan members to vote for the prospective members of the council by their choice, and such, the creation of the new Konoha Council. A few minutes before the council meeting started, the last clan head expected to arrive came on time. Hiyashi Hyuga, together with Hanabi Hyuga, the clan's prospective clan head in the future, finally sat on his designated seat, and after pleasantries, entered the current Hokage, Hitaki Kakashi, followed by Shikamaru Nara, his right-hand person, administrative advisor, and also the current head of the Nara clan. Following them were Uchiha Sasuke and Uzumaki Naruto. Most clan heads greeted Naruto casually while Hiyashi Hyuga simply gave him a small smile and a nod. Not much to be said, as Hiyashi already approved the relationship of her elder daughter with the hero of the shinobi world. Sasuke was also greeted, but not as lively as their greetings with Naruto, since most of them were still somewhat wary of the Uchiha because of the things he had done before the Fourth War. On the other hand, Naruto ni Hanabi lightly tackled Naruto from behind and linked her left arm to Naruto's right arm. "How was it, Onisama's cooking? She improved a lot, doesn't she?" "Yeah, she's a great cook now. I believe you also have a part of why she got this good at cooking, right?" Naruto replied, but slightly nervous. Well, he can't even remember when did Hanabi became this close to him, but he can't complain back. She's Hinata's little sister, so he was also treating her also like a sister he never had. That was back then before he left for his S-rank training. But now, Hanabi was more or less 16 years old. She had quite a growth spurt, as she grew from a 14-year-old adolescent girl that they saved during the moon mission, to a very beautiful girl with physical characteristics similar to Hinata during the Fourth War. In fact, What was making him nervous right now was that he can now feel the Hyuga heiress bosom sandwiching his right arm, not as big as of Hinata's back then, but still proportionate to her height and age. Crap, did I just remember the size of Hinata's brie? Naruto shook his head comically in realization. More importantly, he looked nervously towards Hiashi, knowing that his lover's father would get angry at this gesture of Hanabi, but Hiashi simply ignored it as he was casually talking with Kakashi, taking the opportunity before the council meeting commenced. After a few more minutes, Kakashi then officially announced the start of the council meeting. After a few discussions regarding the internal affairs of Konoha between the clan heads, Shikamaru then began talking seriously. Everyone, the main reason why we conduct this council meeting was because the daimyos of the 5 great nations have declared a new law for implementation. The other hidden villages already have begun implementing it. However, Konoha opted to delay it to prepare possible workarounds so as it may greatly affect our political system as a whole, Shikamaru said in a neutral tone befitting a Hokage advisor. Sasuke, Naruto, and all the clan heads in attendance focused their attention on Shikamaru, who was currently standing right behind Kakashi's seat. Before we declare the law, let us give a brief background for the overview of why the daimyos decided to create such law. Kakashi then spoke. Even during the warring periods, the time before the concept of hidden village was established, and death can easily be considered as natural as breathing, the population of this world was so small and very unstable due to constant battles between shinobi clans. In fact, due to battles between clans, a shinobi reaching 30 years of age was already considered that of an old person. And since the establishment of the hidden villages, creating powerful alliances between clans that decided to live within those hidden villages. While the battles have been lessened, the succeeding battles have now involved more shinobi due to the missions being implemented by their respective cages. Thus, resulting in more deaths. As we all know, the first to third shinobi world wars happened after the creation of the hidden villages, and due to such large-scale wars, other minor and smaller villages became involved, creating much greater strife than during the warring periods that created further chaos, leading to the creation of organizations such as the Akatsuki and such, which leads to the Fourth Great Shinobi World War. And due to this, the economic status of the shinobi world was on a great decline. Shikamaru continued from where Kakashi left off. The continued battles, wars, and deaths greatly affected the decrease of population of the world. In fact, the population of the world right now is much lesser than during the warring period. With the worst male-to-female difference in history, in 1:5 ratio, respectively, due to the ones that were involved and those who died during the previous war were mostly male shinobi, and due to the population itself being the main pillar of the economic growth and to save the shinobi nations from great decline, the law to assist and stabilize the world's population has been created unanimously by the 5 great nations for implementation. 5 Great Shinobi Nation Feudal Act. In order to solve the massive decline in the population of the 5 great nations, all the shinobi under the hidden villages must marry at least 2, but not more than 8 women. The daimyos will also have the authority to arrange marriages for outstanding or acknowledged shinobi as to reward them for their respective acts and further stabilize the political state of the nation. The announcement earned various reactions from the clan heads. A lot of things immediately run through their minds, but most of them looked toward Naruto and Sasuke. Sasuke simply closed his eyes due to the attention while Naruto narrowed his eyes. So that's it, huh? Naruto gripped his knuckles. So, the daimyo's intent was to really arrange prominent shinobi to political marriages from someone from other villages or other nations. If I am going to read between the lines, I can easily summarize these. Sasuke muttered as he opened his eyes. First, they intend to distribute the powers of the powerful clans to other nations and villages. Second, they intend to use arranged marriages as part of the negotiation treaty between nations and villages similar to how it used to be with the Bijus back then during the first Hokage's time. Third, they intend to take control of those they deemed as notable shinobi through those arranged marriages. I can't accept that. Naruto looked towards Kakashi and Shikamaru, his mind thinking of Hinata. She loved him since their childhood despite being a good-for-nothing prankster. She didn't give up on him and continued to believe in him. She supported him in silence, and now that he already knew how much Hinata loved him, he can't just let some random girl to suddenly appear between them so that Konoha can comply with this stupid new law. But as of now, we don't have a choice, Naruto, Kakashi replied. all the hidden villages are merely military institutions being run by the daimyos who have sovereignty over their respective domains. The village's economy and budget greatly depend on them. If we will not comply with their law, it will be possible that they will cut down or even stop the provisions that they were providing for the village. And here I thought that I heard you guys before that you delayed the implementation of this law to think of some workarounds against this law, Naruto rebutted. Calm down, Naruto, Shikamaru sighed. He never thought that Naruto will be the one that has to deal with this kind of discussion. Yes, Konoha will comply, but that doesn't mean we will not use the loophole of that law on our own advantage. Loophole. Inuzuka Kiba, Naruto's classmate and the prospective future clan leader of the Inuzuka clan, asked in curiosity. Everyone, except Kakashi, who had his arms crossed and eyes closed, focused their attention on Shikamaru. The daimyo's law pointed out that they have the authority to arrange marriages for outstanding or acknowledged shinobi, but in the first clause, the law mentioned that all the shinobi under the hidden villages must marry at least 2, but not more than 8 women. In other words, the term not more than 8 women is the absolute limit to the number of women a male shinobi can marry. That means the daimyos cannot arrange a marriage to a shinobi who already have 8 wives. So if a shinobi don't want to have unknown other women from other villages and nation to be married to him, all that the shinobi have to do is to find and marry 8 wives whom they can, at the very least, trust. That way, the daimyos can't use marriage as a form of a hidden treaty between other political entities and also avoid being controlled by the same daimyos to have you do their bidding for them in the pretense of protecting your family. The clan heads gave the same reaction as before when the law was declared earlier. While what Shikamaru have just said was indeed a better alternative, it still won't change the fact that they will have no choice but to have more than one partner with whom they will have to spend their life with. While this may remedy the dwindling population, what if the wives they chose don't want to share them with the other women? I still don't like it. Naruto once again spoke. If I need to go and talk to the daimyos right now to revoke this stupid law, then I'll go there right here and now. And what? Use force trying to change their minds? Shikamaru rebutted. You know I am not that kind of person, Shikamaru, Naruto replied, but I'll have to if I have no choice. Then what? Kakashi replied this time. Naruto, you are the hero of the shinobi world, your dream is to become the Hokage, right? Then your dream is already right in front of you, and who do you think were the ones who have the authority to appoint the next Hokage? It was the daimyos themselves. Naruto narrowed his eyes in realization. He felt like he was being cornered for some reason. Naruto, Hiashi Hyuga, this time, interrupted, hearing you react like this against this law made me really glad. This simply shows how much you value your relationship with Hinata. Now I know more than ever that you will never, ever hurt my daughter's feelings. But remember, you are a shinobi, you are plenty powerful as you are right now. If you ever do what you intend to do right now and went directly to the daimyos regarding this law, regardless of how you approach them, it can easily be assumed that you are openly disobeying them, and despite being the hero of the shinobi world, they can easily declare you as a criminal for attempting to do something against them. Then what should I do? The blonde lowered his head, gritting his teeth. What's so wrong with having multiple wives? Sasuke spoke casually, surprising everyone. Sasuke, what did you just say? What about Sakura? Naruto straightened his stance, lightly glaring towards Sasuke. Don't be too sentimental, Naruto. Sasuke returned the light glare. I am the last of my clan, and I am very thankful that Sakura did not give up on me, just like you, despite the crimes that I had committed back then. So on this matter, I suggest that while Konoha does its best to take advantage of the loophole of that law, we will also need to add another clause in conjunction with its implementation. A clause that will declare that the first wife must have the final approval if the shinobi whom they were married with will take another woman as another wife. If they cannot come into an agreement, the marriage between that new woman and the shinobi must be cancelled or called off. Another clause can also be added that the number of wives can also depend on the current rank of the shinobi. That way, we can possibly lessen the possible family problems between the wives and also have the shinobi with appropriate rank and level of income support a much larger family due to them having multiple wives. So you will have Sakura decide if she'll approve of another woman to be your wife, Naruto asked in a serious tone. And that should be the same for you and Hinata, Sasuke replied. Trust is the true symbol of love. If you truly love Hinata, then you must trust her with this. You're saying as if they will readily accept this stupid law as it is. Sakura will, because I trust her judgment, the Uchiha said. How about you? Naruto simply clenched his fist. This law still feels so wrong. There is no way that hell let another random girl to suddenly barge into his life, together with Hinata. There's just no way. Kakashi then spoke. All right, I know this will be quite an adjustment for all of you. But let me also remind you that more than our personal feelings and traditions, we need to adapt to the current circumstances of our world. Just imagine the current ratio between man and woman right now in our world. A husband and wife that can produce 2 children will simply just even out the population for that specific marriage for the next generation. However, what if that husband and wife only had 1 child? Or worst, wasn't able to produce a child? If a husband has at least 2 wives and was able to have a child in the first wife and 3 on the second wife, the union between 3 individuals created 4 offspring. It is basically a +1, thus increasing the potential population index for the next generation. Luckily, we have more female than male, so it won't be that much troublesome for us. If it is the other way around, with more guys than girls, I believe things would get even more chaotic. Marriage is a commitment between a man and a woman. It is what we believed is right. Of course, I also believed that it was. And will always be right based on the morals we've built upon. However, the current situation of our world requires us to change what we believed is right, and this is in order to ensure that we'll have a proper next generation that we can leave behind. That's why we have no choice but to accept the law. However, at the very least, we should be able to change and circumvent that law that would not affect the foundation of our morals that much. Kakashi finished his statement, leaving most of the clan heads thinking. Indeed, this is the start of a new era. The 5 major hidden villages were already on good terms. Akatsuki was no more. There might be some smaller hidden organizations aiming to disrupt the current peace, but they were nowhere near the threat that the Akatsuki had posed. Then I have a suggestion. Hiashi Hyuga broke the silence. As the members of this council, we have already heard the law, and intend to include additional terms and provisions so as to not greatly affect our code of ethics and maintain the equality between men and women. In relation to this, I would suggest that once the law has been finalized, that the full provisions included within this law won't become public knowledge outside of Konoha. This is to protect the village, and more so for Uchiha Sasuke and Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto looked towards the Hyuga head. Hiashi gave a small smile to Naruto. After all, we already knew that the other villages have already been implementing this law. And they were only waiting for Konoha's implementation so that they can begin approaching the village, with those from higher nobility from other villages and nations aiming to arrange a political marriage between their daughters with some of us, notably Naruto and Sasuke, and if they succeed, they will use this to show their power against another, and will definitely stir misunderstandings and at worst, rift the villages apart again. While Uchiha Sasuke's earlier suggestions might limit their advances, those nobles might use the power of the daimyos and disregard Konoha's additional law provisions. That's why I suggest that let's keep the information of our compliance with that law within those who are in this room. Apply Uchiha Sasuke's suggestions, then have our most prominent shinobi marry the girls whom they can trust as soon as possible, so our shinobi won't be targeted by political marriages by those nobles and daimyos from other villages. But what's stopping them from simply changing the law without notice, making the wives limit to 15 or even 20, just to accommodate their stupid plans? Naruto inquired to the Hiashi. They want, Kakashi answered. The law has been discussed with us around and was completed with a blood seal between the daimyos. The blood seal allows the law to become irrevocable for the next 50 years. The cages, while we can't do anything against the law, made sure that the blood seal must be applied for that law's implementation so that the daimyos cannot abuse their authority for that specific law, so they can't simply change that law based on their own whim. I see, so this is the best possible option we have right now, huh? Naruto sighed as if giving up discussing the topic, but I still won't accept any other woman other than Hinata, as much as possible. Then you'll be targeted by the nobles for an arranged marriage, Choji Akamaki said with a smirk, playfully taunting his classmate. Then I'll think about it when that time comes, Naruto replied, still serious. Sorry, but I'll leave for now. I'll have to think about this before discussing it with Hinata. The blonde sage then lightly bowed to the members of the council, then made his way to the exit. Would you look at that? Yamanaka Ino, the current clan head of the Yamanakas, with Sai standing behind her as her consort. That dense blockhead really have fallen heads over heels with Hinata, huh? Well, he's been looking for someone whom he could connect to since his childhood. Sure, Sasuke was now around, but even without Sasuke, Hinata was always supporting him from distance. That's why after he understood all of Hinata's feelings and what she has been through for his sake, I bet he promised himself that he'll do everything that he can to not make Hinata sad. That's just how Naruto is since then, Sai said, enough for the entire council to hear. It seems like, even with this law's implementation, we can still be rest assured that Onisama will be truly happy with Naruto ni, Hanabi said with a smile towards his father after seeing how adamant Naruto was for Hinata's sake. Hiyashi simply nodded with a smile in return. Given our current circumstances, how about you, Hanabi? Do you want to become Naruto's wife as well? Hiyashi asked in a lighter tone. I'll rest assured that both of you will be in good hands if it's Naruto. Wah, Hanabi immediately turned into tomato. What are you talking about, Otu-sama? Everyone remaining on the conference room laughed lightheartedly. That idiot. Sasuke then began walking towards the exit with a small smirk, thinking of Naruto's reaction. Scene change. Suna, Kei's cage tower. Gaara was now walking towards a specific room after completing mountains of paperwork on his table that were accumulated during those few days he spent at Konoha. Behind him was Kankuro, acting as his trusted right-hand person. As he opened the door, the two of them were greeted by Temari, and a small smile from a certain girl. So, what happened to your Konoha visit? Temari asked immediately to her younger brother. Well, as the earlier intel had said, Naruto has finally returned, Gaara replied, omitting the Otsutsuki part that Sasuke have informed them about, and he's much, much stronger now. You just want some news about Shikamaru, right? Kankuro said. Trying to annoy his sister, he was met with a comical glare from the wind jutsu user. Does Naruto have finally returned? The girl who was with Temari muttered, longing and anticipation filling her expression. The girl in question was around the same age as of Naruto. She has long, waist-length red hair, purple-colored eyes, and visible fair skin. She wore a robe in a combination of pink and purple. Its design can easily be discerned as that of a distinguished royalty from outside of Suna. Yes, while he is now much stronger, he's still the same person as you have known him, Gaara responded to the girl. Thanks, I really wanted to see him right now, the girl said with a sad smile while looking down to the ground. All of us here know that you can't, right now, considering your unique circumstances. After all, only the three of us here know who you really are, Kankuro said while leaning on one of the walls of the room, ensuring that no one was eavesdropping on their conversation. The girl didn't respond, however. Gaara already had a personal arrangement with that guy, so he'll be the one who will come over to Suna. Really? The girl's expression shone as if immediately erasing the sad expression she just had. Will Naruto really come here? Yes, he'll definitely come. Gaara nodded. That's why you need to prepare yourself, the queen from the lost city of the Wind Country. Gaara then paused, looking towards the girl, a girl who ended up traveling to this timeline from 20 years of the past. Queen Sarah of Roron. They finally did it. Mukade has finally been defeated by a team of elite Konoha shinobi, destroying the said time-traveling Rouge Ninja's ambition to rewrite the shinobi history using the power of Ryumyaku, the unique, potent chakra ley line existing beneath the city of Roron. The people of Roron were now free from slavery thanks to the newfound resolve of their current ruler. Queen Sarah. Despite the dangers entailed during the battle, Queen Sarah was able to aid the team of Konoha shinobi against Mukade's army of puppets, and that resolve to protect her people was something she learned from that certain specific blonde, hyperactive shinobi, who, despite being treated harshly by her during their first meeting, still did his best to protect and save her from being the puppet queen under Mukade. The said shinobi, Uzumaki Naruto, whom she thought was just another annoying person at first, was able to change her outlook on life. He changed how she views the world. He changed her to become a better person, a better queen for her people, aside from protecting and saving her against those too many to count life-threatening situations during the battle against Mukade, with most of the time completely disregarding his own safety and well-being. And despite all these happening within a day, Naruto was able to find his way and engrave himself within her heart. And he was able to do so unintentionally, during their short time together. She didn't notice at first that she had already begun developing feelings she never thought she would have by that time. A feeling that was very painful yet feels so right. During the events that lead up to the point of Mukade's defeat, he never once wavered. His clumsy yet gallant stance, his valiant resistance while fighting and protecting her gave a deep impression on her. Despite his injuries and battered body, he always gave her reassurance that everything will be all right, that he will always be right there, protecting her no matter what. Before she realized it, she ended up trying to chase him. She realized that she needed someone like him. She felt like needed him to stay by her side, regardless of the outcome of this fight. However, right after the Ryumyaku was stabilized by the shinobi named Minato Namikaze, Naruto's body, together with another shinobi named Yamato, began glowing. The harsh reality came, hitting Sarah in full force. Naruto was not from this timeline. He came from the future and only was able to exist in the past due to Mukade's influence, and now that the battle is over, Naruto's existence must now return from the timeline where he came from. They said parting words to each other. Naruto once again reassured her that she can now lead Roran as its rightful queen to a much better future. Queen Sarah then said that she will never forget him. She tried accepting that he cannot exist by her side, and she must accept it, for her people, for this timeline, for him. Naruto then gave her his signature grin, a smile of reassurance as his existence on this timeline almost completely vanished. That last smile should be enough to keep her moving forward. But that same smile itself made her realize that she can't do it. She cannot accept that he will be gone for good, not by her side, and most of all, she cannot accept that her memories of him must also be sealed together with those short, yet valuable times she spent with him, her very first love. That's why, at the very last moment, she ran towards the last trace of existence that he had with open arms, attempting to hug him tightly, disregarding the possible consequences of her sudden impulsive action. The very moment she reached him, her vision, everything turned white. Flashback end. Sarah opened her eyes, and traces of a lone tear ran down her cheeks. She then sat on her bed, then looked outside through the window. It was nighttime, the sky was clear, displaying the twinkling stars that made her feel more melancholic. She's still in the same room where she spent time together with Temari. She's like a prisoner under house arrest. The cage ordered her to stay in that room to ensure her safety. After all, her circumstances were very, very unique. She is a person from the past. Her current 19-year-old self should exist in this era. Naruto, she muttered with longing and sadness. Right after she attempted to hug Naruto as the blonde shinobi was about to disappear, she found herself lying on one of the ruins of Roran's former royal castle. She was, at first, surprised that her beloved city was now in ruins, making her think that because of her sudden disappearance from the past led her city into such a state in the future. She was able to get a new set of her usual, red-colored royal robe within the ruined royal palace. Replacing her current tattered clothing that she had during the fight against Mukade, it also made her wonder how come that the royal palace where she got her new royal robes were not damaged by whatever reason that made the city look like this. She needed to look for answers, and she only had herself and the chakra blade that Naruto left behind in her custody right now, so she began wandering around the city. After a few hours of walking around the ruined city, as if looking for some information regarding her current situation, she noticed two shinobi approaching her, one blonde kunoichi with huge fan-like weapon in front of her, and one shinobi with a weird facial painting pattern behind her. Scene change. 2 weeks ago, we immediately went to the ruins of Roran right after our intelligence unit sensed some kind of strange chakra movement being detected in that ruined city. Temari said as she, together with Konkuro and Gaara, were standing in one of the verandas of the cage tower. After all, it was more of a sealed city than a ruined city due to it containing the mysterious Ryumyaku chakra ley line. That's why the Wind Country protected it through the hidden village of the sand from anyone who will attempt to do something on those ruins since after the Third Shinobi War. And as we traced that strange chakra movement given by our intel, we found her walking around the ruined city, with her movements having visible familiarity with the city's structure despite its ruined state. Konkuro added, feeling that she wasn't some sort of bandit. Temari and I allowed our presence to be felt as we approach her. She's visibly wary of us. Of course, we tried to approach her, but she pointed out her chakra blade against us. Temari muttered while remembering the incident. Despite her clumsy, unshinobi-like stance, her face was brimming with determination back then, It was then that we noticed the familiar insignia from the chakra blade that she was currently holding. Konoha, Gaara said in neutral expression. Yes, Konoha's insignia, Kankuro said, with traces of Naruto's chakra on it. So I communicated with her as to let her guard down, thinking that she might be someone from or affiliated with Konoha. I can't believe how she responded back then, Tamari said with a smile of admiration. She said, I am an acquaintance of the Hidden Leaf Village. I need to meet someone from that village, so I need you to take me to your cage. If you won't do as I say, then I respectfully request to you two to leave me alone. I asked her, how can you be so sure that we're not some bad guys aiming against you? We might be members of some hidden organizations who might do something nasty against you. And all she replied was, you guys approached me properly, no bandits would ever do that. You also have a forehead protector from the hidden village of the sand, so most likely that the two of you were sent here by the cage to investigate something, one way or another, and besides, you're a beautiful woman. I believe that someone like you, with such composure, will never do anything wrong against me. She is a very beautiful, courageous, and observant woman, Kankuro said, vocal of his first impression of the former queen. I see, that's the reason why you immediately took her to me, Gaara said. Scene change. I am glad that the hidden village of the sand was far more welcoming now than it used to be during our time. Even their cage right now seems like a gentle person, Sarah muttered to herself. During that time Tamari and Kankuro brought her to the cage for the first time. She immediately said that everything that she was about to tell was very confidential information and she swore that she will only tell nothing but the truth. With only the three Suna siblings currently on the room, Sarah told them of her circumstances, that she was someone from the past, how the city of Roron was from the past, how Mukade controlled the city and attempted to take advantage of her so he can use the Ryumyaku for his own bidding, until a group of shinobi from Konoha and a pair of shinobi from the same village, albeit from the future, came to help her and free the enslaved citizens of Roron from Mukade. The three Suna siblings intently listened to her story. But what the trio noticed was how Queen Sarah gets animated, emotional, and affectionate each time the name Naruto was ever mentioned. They did inform her beforehand that Suna was now an allied village with Konoha so she can be rest assured with them even for a little. But didn't inform her yet by that time that they were close acquaintances with Naruto himself, and the way she described Naruto, how he made her into a better person, and how he fought recklessly just for the sake of protecting her, together with the chakra blade that she had right now, were more than enough for them to believe the validity of her stories, much to the queen's surprise. The only wonder the Suna siblings had, was that based on Sarah's description of Naruto, the blonde shinobi took that said mission more or less 4 years ago, sometime before Pain attacked Konoha. This made them wonder how come Sarah was only able to time travel and appeared right now, and not around the same time when Naruto and his team completed their mission. Sarah explained that it was possibly because of Ryumyaku's instability back then. She told them that Mukade, despite being influenced near simultaneously by the Ryumyaku with Naruto and Yamato, arrived 6 years earlier in the past than Naruto, with Yamato being delayed for nearly another 24 hours after Naruto's appearance from the same timeline. When she made contact with Naruto before he disappeared, the Ryumyaku might have acted up before being sealed, sending her also, but into a much further, future timeline from the then Naruto's timeline. This actually made her wonder, if she hugged Naruto much earlier and not during the last second before he disappeared, she might have arrived in a much earlier time period than now. Well, not that it matters much, since she was currently 19-year-old girl who fell in love with a 16-year-old guy, with her being transported 4 years further from Naruto's. They were now of the same age. This realization somewhat made her so happy. However, Sarah wondered why the Suna siblings readily accepted and believed her absurd time travel story. Gaara reasoned that due to the power of Ryumyaku, such an event might actually be possible. However, it was when Tamari mentioned that they were actually close acquaintances with Naruto, matching Kankuro's huge grin and Gaara's small smile, that made Sarah blush so hard that enough to make a tomato jealous. Gaara further added that he considered Naruto as a very close friend, then told her about his own story with the blonde Jinchuriki. After hearing the Kage's story on how Naruto also changed him, I can't help but fall in love with him more, Sarah said as she tightly clasped both her hands in front of her chest. Not only the Kage, but he also helped to change this world for the better. As she stayed in the Cage's tower for the past 2 weeks, Tamari somewhat became rather close to her, as if seeing her somewhat in pain due to the current state of her city. Tamari showed her some records that Roron became a battlefield and was destroyed during the Third Shinobi World War. However, none of the Roron citizens died during the war because Suna accepted them as immigrants from the said city. A few years later that it was only revealed by the Roron citizens, though still highly classified, that the last queen of Roron vanished while sealing the Ryumyuku chakra ley line, protecting it from being used again since only those of royal blood native from Roron can activate the ley line before being used for whatever purpose. And for the Ryumyuku not to be targeted again like what Mukade did, and seeing that a major battle will involve Roron during the then Shinobi World War, the remaining citizens of Roron mutually decided to migrate to the Sand Village and let the city of Roron be destroyed by the ensuing battle to camouflage the ley line from other evil intents. Sarah smiled to herself. She might have not become a good queen, but she left something to Roron, and the citizens abide by her will despite selfishly disappearing during those times that they needed her. All that they knew was that she disappeared trying to seal the Ryumyuku after saving them from Mukade's slavery, but they didn't know that she was sent to the future, on this current timeline, so she accepted that it would be better for her people not to know her circumstances or things will definitely get complicated, in more ways than one. Then, Tamari went ahead and told her stories of what happened to Naruto after he returned from Roron. He protected Konoha and fought against pain, fought against the powerful members Akatsuki on the Fourth Shinobi World War, fought even against the literal goddess of chakra, then a year later, saved the world from destruction due to the falling moon by defeating another powerful otherworldly enemy. While the stories made her reaffirm her feelings and further fall in love with him not because of his achievements, but because of him being the same as who he is back then. It was then that she learned that the Naruto she fell in love with now has a fiancé named Hinata Hyuga, a heiress candidate from one of the most prestigious clans of the Hidden Leaf. According to Tamari, Hinata already loved Naruto way back during their childhood. It was only during the moon incident that Naruto realized this and accepted her feelings, thus becoming a couple, and this made her feel so sad. Her heart suddenly felt a pain that she never thought possible. Fate and destiny made them meet each other. She fell in love with him. They got separated by space and time, yet fate and destiny once again do their thing. However, the very person she's chasing right now, believing that she can now able to reach, has now become much further to her than ever before. It's not that she can't just accept it. It was 4 long years for him, and with his character, it will only be a matter of time before he found that special someone who really cares for him. But for her, it was only a mere 2 weeks since they last saw each other due to the events concerning Mukade. That's why it was painful for her. He's the only one she needs right now. He's the reason why she ended up on this timeline. She basically only had him due to her current circumstances. Thinking about him, being with him, and falling in love with him felt so right, but right now, it felt so wrong. But she can't just give up on it, not until she was able to meet him again, even for one last time. That's why when the Cage Summit and the news about Naruto were about to return after his more than a year disappearance, she had Gaara promise to make her meet Naruto no matter what. Gaara felt sorry for her, but this is the least he can do. That's why Gaara made such arrangements with Naruto during the previous Cage Summit so he can visit Suna and have both him and Sarah meet again. Naruto. Sarah brought her clasped hands to her forehead as if praying that her feelings will reach the person of her affection, with a lone tear once again escaping her sad, longing eyes. Scene change. On the outskirts a few kilometers outside Konoha. I still don't like it, Naruto grumbled. Both of them were in their mission gear, with Naruto wearing the same attire that he had when he returned to Konoha a few days ago, with Hinata wearing the same mission gear she had during the moon incident. He was now currently lying down on the ground, his head on Hinata's lap. Hinata, on the other hand, was lightly brushing Naruto's hair with her right hand. The two of them were currently on their way to Suna and on a quick break, resting under a huge tree. Well, we can't do anything about it, Hinata said, trying to be reasonable with Naruto regarding the law. However, she can easily understand why Naruto felt like this. She had loved him for so long, and now that she's finally able to walk side by side with him, it just feels so wrong having another woman entering their lives as a couple duo. The implementation of that feudal law, and the worst was that she must share Naruto with that woman in more ways than one. Those thoughts alone were painful enough for her. What if Naruto was forced to marry someone by the daimyos? What if Naruto was forced to marry someone who will use him as a mere trophy? What if someone tries to control Naruto using those arranged marriages? To most of the shinobi world, Uzumaki Naruto is a hero, a very powerful shinobi, and a future Hokage, yet only those who were close to him know what Naruto has been through that allowed him to make it up to this point. A lot of things were going on through her head. Indeed, the two of them don't like the new law. While Konoha did change some provisions within the law, both felt like they were being cheated in some form or another. Naruto wanted to protect Hinata's feelings. Hinata wanted to protect Naruto from being married to a woman who will possibly end up only using him for whatever selfish reasons. Hinata, do you want to leave Konoha behind, and live with just the two of us? Naruto muttered the one thing that Hinata never thought Naruto would say, leaving the village behind, just for her. Hinata's eyes widened, surprised of Naruto's words. No, you can't do that, Naruto-kun. Hinata said, her face painted with worry and anxiety. You can't just abandon the village. You're the hero of Konoha. You've already been through a lot for you to make it this far. You can't just discard your dream of becoming the Hokage when it's already right before you. Hinata, it is not the village's fault, so please don't think about leaving the village, and your friends, and abandoning your lifelong dream. You can't do that just because you don't like the law that the daimyos implemented, Hinata said, returning to her calm demeanor. I am honestly so happy that you're thinking this much about me, about my feelings, Naruto-kun. My heart is jumping with joy hearing how you need only me and no one else. Naruto then stood up, then sat behind Hinata, and hugged her from behind. Of course, I am sorry, Hinata, you deserve a lot more. I honestly think, even right now, that I don't deserve someone like you. I, too, am thinking the same. Sometimes, I also am thinking if I really have the right to stay by your side. Don't say that, I'll get angry. Then don't think like that, I'll also feel sad. The two further snuggled to each other, with Hinata leaning on him, her head on his shoulder. Naruto then lightly rubbed his cheek with Hinata's as he closed his eyes. I don't want you to marry another woman, but given the current situation, we won't have much a choice. Right now, the only hope I have for the current circumstances is for you not to be married to a woman who will only use you as some kind of mere price or due to better their status, and if you will end up marrying another woman, I hope it was someone who will also love you as who you are, and not what you are, Hinata said lovingly, hiding the pain within her just by muttering those words. Yeah, but I don't know if there will be another woman who will love me as who I am, not as what I am. You're the only one I know who loves me like this, Naruto said, not that I intend to look for another one either. But if we won't find another girl, then you might be forced to marry someone for political reasons, Hinata rebutted, implying the worst-case scenario. Naruto gave a grumbling reaction. Let's think about it later. For now, let's head straight to Suna. It is rare for Gaara to invite me like that. As his friend, I just can't leave him hanging. Hi, to Kazekage-sama then, Hinata replied with a smile, as she attempted to stand from their current position. Change of mind, let's stay like this for a few more minutes. Naruto tightened her hug from behind with a huge grin. Hinata cutely giggled as she once again leaned backward to her lover, enjoying their alone time together, as if trying to erase their anxiety under the shade of the big tree. Scene change. Well, you can't blame Naruto. This was his first time having such strong feelings for someone of the opposite sex, Sakura said while cooking dinner, with Sasuke sitting on the dining room. But what about you, Sasuke-kun? According to Ino, you readily accepted that law without much reaction during the council meeting. In fact, I heard you even added additional provisions to the law to lessen its possible negative impact. What do you expect? Don't even imagine me reacting like that idiot from time to time, Sasuke said to Sakura. You can't blame me for not opposing the law. Right now, I am just a mere pardoned criminal. I may be against the daimyo's law, but I am here right now thanks to Naruto. I know most of the villagers are still quite wary of me. That's why I want to rebuild relationships with others, one step at a time, in my own way. Sasuke-kun. Sakura gave a loving smile towards Sasuke. She never thought that he would ever return to Konoha. His crimes, his hatred for what happened to Itachi, his hate against the village due to what happened to his clan. She thought that she can never be together with him again. She, like everyone else, had already given up on him. But Naruto was able to reach him. He fulfilled his promise and made Sasuke return to the village. He might be leaving for dangerous, long-term missions concerning the Otsutsukis from time to time, but that was his own way of atoning for his sins. That's why simple moments like these were treasures for her. So, what will you gonna do now? You said that you're just a pardoned criminal, right? Surely, the political figures will use that against you as means to force you into an arranged marriage, right? Sakura carefully asked. They will definitely use your lineage to gain younger generation with Uchiha bloodline from your marriages, then use them for power, and it might incite chaos once again in the near future. I might not react like him, but that doesn't mean I am not thinking of such situations, Sasuke replied in a quite stern voice. For now, all that I need is a second wife to comply with the law, and after that, I'll think about something so that those nobles and daimyos won't approach or target me for an arranged marriage for a third wife. And so, Sasuke said with a small smirk. A second wife? You already have a target second wife. Sakura sighed in defeat. So I really am not enough for you, Sasuke-kun. Idiot. Sasuke sighed this time. Like I have said, to comply with the law, if I have a choice, I will choose you over that other girl over and over. That girl? Sakura gave a thinking pose. Ah. You mean that girl? Yeah, right. I'll have to take Karen out of Orochimaru's laboratory and have her as my second wife, Sasuke said to Sakura, making the pink-head Kunoichi react with a comical expression. Wait a second, Sasuke-kun. Sakura yelled comically. You have yet to propose to me, but you already have a second wife in mind. Shanaru. Scene change. Kazekage-sama. An informant appeared right in front of Gaara's desk. Uzumaki Naruto-sama and Hyuga Hinata-sama of the Hidden Leaf Village have been already sighted and was about to enter our village. We are waiting for your orders. I see, Gaara said with a small smile. Let me welcome them personally, thanks for the notice. The informant bowed before leaving the room. Gaara then walked towards the veranda of the Kazekage Tower, then looked towards the direction of the gate where Naruto and Hinata were about to enter. You might have grown powerful as a shinobi, my friend, Gaara muttered to himself, but with this situation, I want to see how much you have grown, as an individual, and as a person. A mild wind then began blowing, lightly shuffling his red hair, then gradually, his physical form began dispersing into sand particles until his entire physical body became such, allowing the breeze to carry him toward his desired location. Scene change. As Naruto and Hinata entered Suna, the two were greeted by warm cheers and smiles from the Suna shinobi and citizens alike. Naruto awkwardly waved his right hand in return, while Hinata gave a shy smile. The two were welcomed by Temari and Kankuro as they walked towards the Kazekage Tower. The four prominent shinobi of their respective hidden villages then began talking to each other, with Naruto and Kankuro teasing Temari about her relationship with Shikamaru, while Hinata did her best so that Temari won't use her wind jutsus to blow the two away out of embarrassment. On their way near the Kazekage Tower, a pile of sand began forming into humanoid form. It was then revealed to be Gaara, personally welcoming his friend to his village. The two exchanged a friendly handshake, earning cheers from those who were watching them. It's been a while, Kazekage-sama, Naruto greeted with a huge grin. Hinata lightly bowed and gave the cage a small smile as well. Don't greet me like that, it's not very like you, Gaara replied to his blonde friend with a smile as well. It is a rare sight for the Kazekage and the hero of the shinobi world to exchange pleasantries out in the open, so the Suna citizens took advantage of watching such a rare occurrence until the group entered the Kazekage Tower. Instead of the Kazekage office, Naruto and Hinata sat in the guest room. Kankuro and Gaara kept them company, exchanging various information and topics casually without a trace of formal communication like it used to when there was an official meeting like the Cage Summit. It was indeed just a friend visiting and talking to a friend, spending time together. After a few good minutes of random conversation and having some light snack, the four shinobi went silent, as if mutually realizing that they must start talking about the reason why Gaara invited Naruto to visit. The Kazekage then nodded to Kankuro, and Kankuro then went ahead and knocked on the other door that connects the guest room to another room, implying that whoever was on the other side can now enter the room. Temari first entered the room, then gave the couple from Konoha an anxious smile. This made Naruto and Hinata wonder what was this all about. It was then that Naruto sensed another person who was just behind the door, waiting to enter the room, and much to Naruto's surprise, the person he sensed behind the door was someone he definitely knew, but at the same time, felt very foreign to him. but before the person entered the guest room. Naruto. Gaara then began speaking seriously, do you still remember that one time that you, together with the rest of your team, chased a rogue ninja named Mukade to the ruins of the lost city of Roron? Well, yeah, Naruto replied, we chased down Mukade on the ruins of Roron, then a light suddenly appeared, consuming him, me, and Yamato Taiko. When the light subsided, Sakura and Sai found me and Yamato Taiko lying on the ground, unconscious, with not even a single trace of Mukade around. However, when I woke up, I can feel my entire body aching, as if I've just gone through some serious battles against a powerful opponent. Both I and Yamato Taiko felt like we can't remember anything that happened, as if someone sealed our memories or something, and up till now, every once in a while, those thoughts kept nagging me, as if my sealed memories were telling me that something very important happened back then. I see. Gaara closed his eyes, he then shifted his attention to the person behind the door, you may now enter. The person immediately entered the room before Gaara could even finish his statement. The former queen of Roron and the blonde shinobi's eyes finally met each other. Naruto, Sarah muttered, tears starting to form in the lid of both her eyes. Her face was now filled with unexplainable emotions, as if her feelings were now trying to burst her open now that the person of her affection was now right in front of her. Hinata observed the girl and her reaction right after she entered the room and the way she muttered Naruto's name with such gentle affection. It wasn't a mere affection that a woman can express without deep feelings hiding within it. She then looked towards Naruto, with Gaara, Kankuro and Temari doing the same, and what they saw also somewhat surprised them. Naruto was looking intently at the girl with a complicated expression on his face. They saw a bead of sweat roll down his face as if he was doing something very difficult even for someone like him. We'll be waiting outside, Gaara said as he began walking towards the main door. Kankuro and Temari seemed intent to be left behind, but Gaara used some small amount of sand particles to lightly push the two towards the same door as him. Once the door has been closed. Who? Naruto muttered, still having difficulty expressing himself. Who are you? Exclamation mark. Sarah stood there, her eyes now in shock. She knew that this might be the cause of the memory-altering seal that Minato Namikaze have cast back then, but still, she felt pain after Naruto openly admitted that he didn't know her. However, no, I know you. But I just can't remember. Naruto grabbed the right side of his face with his right hand, lightly gripping that part of his face, as if trying to browse his past memories. Naruto-kun. Hinata then held Naruto's left hand with both her hands. She immediately used her Byakugan to trace if something was wrong with Naruto's chakra circulation, but wasn't able to detect anything, making her feel more worried for her fiancé. So this is Naruto's fiancé, Hinata Hyuga-san. Sarah looked towards the girl who was showing affection and worry to Naruto. For a moment, she imagined herself being in her place, overlapping her image with Hinata's, supporting and worrying for Naruto about his current situation. She then shook her head. Indeed, the case cage fulfilled her request. She was now able to see Naruto again. Naruto might not have remembered her through his memories, but seeing how Naruto was in pain trying to remember who she is, was more than enough for her to realize that somehow, in one way or another, remembered him within his heart. It was, indeed, more than enough for her. It should be. Sarah then wiped away the tears falling down her eyes with her sleeves, then approached Naruto and Hinata, the former still lightly gripping the right part of his head, while the latter still gripping Naruto's left hand with both her hands, her expression filled with worry for him. Sarah then gently kneeled in front of Naruto, then looked towards Hinata. I am sorry, she gently said to the Hyuga girl, but for one last time, please let me hold him. Hinata nodded, but much to Sarah's surprise, Hyuga's left hand reached her right hand, then led it to Naruto's left hand. Now both their right hand were now clasping Naruto's left hand. Why? Sarah looked towards Hinata with a bewildered expression. I know that this is the first time that we have met, however, after I saw your feelings and emotions for Naruto-kun, I can't help but feel that I can easily relate to those feelings that you were keeping this entire time within yourself. Hinata gave a gentle smile to Sarah. Hinata then placed her left hand on top of Sarah's right hand. You know Naruto is who he is, not as what he is, am I right? Yes, Hinata-san. Sarah's tears once again started rolling down her cheeks. Sarah then also placed her left hand on top of Hinata's left hand. Sarah then leaned closer, then have her forehead lightly touch the intertwined clasping hands between her, Hinata, and Naruto. All of a sudden, as if a key was used to unlock something, the very moment that Sarah's forehead touched the intertwined hands, a flash of memories came rushing into Naruto and Hinata's mind. The memories showed how Naruto traveled back in time to fight against Mukade, how he fought together with his father, Minato Namikaze, and also, how he protected and saved Sarah multiple times during the ordeal. He saw her blossomed from an annoying childish girl into a rightful queen of Roron. The sealed memories from the literal past have finally been unlocked. Naruto then returned to his real-life consciousness, then saw Sarah, her forehead still touching their intertwined hands with Hinata, her gesture seemingly desperate for him to be able to remember her. At that moment, Sarah then decided to let go of Naruto and Hinata's hands, then stood from her kneeling position. Without any other words, she went ahead towards the door where she came from while hiding her eyes through her bangs, attempting to leave the room on her own. Wait, Hinata tried calling Sarah, but she didn't respond. The Suna siblings who were listening outside the room had mixed feelings and reactions as they hear how the drama unfolded. After all, they still can't help but feel affected by the current turn of events that were currently unfolding on the other side of the wall. Before she could leave, Sarah stopped for a moment, then looked towards Naruto. Thank you for everything, Naruto. I am glad that I was able to meet you even for one last time, she said with a sad smile. You don't have to worry about me, for who I am, or what I am to you. You already have Hinata-san right now. I am glad that she is the kind of girl whom you decide to spend the rest of your life with. I know, and now I believe, that she can make you happy. Hinata looked towards the red-haired girl, as tears were also forming in her eyes. Goodbye, Naruto. Sarah then attempted to take another step, this time, away from Naruto's life completely. Sarah, Naruto muttered, completely stopping Sarah's movement. Sarah looked towards Naruto with a stunned expression. Eyes widened. Him suddenly calling her name made her feel weak, and her emotions felt like they were about to burst open. You idiot queen, why did you follow me all the way here? You should have spent your time with your people, he yelled while standing up, his right index finger pointing to the former queen with his usual comical hyperactive demeanor, the gesture itself reminding Sarah of how her beloved knucklehead usually acted during the time they spent together in the past. Exclamation mark. The Suna siblings got surprised as they heard the sudden yell from Naruto. Hinata, on the other hand, gave an anxious reaction due to the sudden outburst from her fiancé. You remembered me, Sarah muttered, her eyes now once again starting to be filled with tears, but this time, not of sadness, but of happiness. Of course, my old man might have sealed my memories from back then, but I can now clearly remember you, Sarah. Naruto yelled once again towards her. I'll ask you again, why did you follow me all the way here? And before Naruto could finish his statement, Sarah tackled him in an affectionate, tight hug. She then buried her face into Naruto's chest, then released her long-kept emotions within her as she began crying like a lost child who just found her missing parent. Naruto then looked towards Hinata, as if afraid of what Hinata's reaction might be due to the sudden affection that she was receiving from another woman, but Hinata simply shook her head, then smiled towards him, with a silent "it's fine" lip movement. Naruto then simply placed both his hands on the crying girl's shoulder, then gave her a small smile of reassurance, the very same smile that changed her as a person as she is right now. After crossing the renowned vast desert of the Wind Country, we finally arrived at the hidden village of the Sand due to the Kage's personal request to Naruto-kun. While we have covered some serious distance from the Leaf Village, the trip was quite enjoyable with just the two of us. After all, this was the first time that Naruto and I traveled together outside of the village since his return, and since he was visiting Kage-sama as a friend and not as an official entourage, so there's not much pressure on us on this visit to the Sand. As we enter the main gate of the Sand Village, we were warmly greeted by the onlooking villagers, though most of them were cheering for Naruto-kun. Not me, not that I care that much. Naruto-kun was the hero of the shinobi world. Realizing that while watching Naruto's back for so long, I can't help but feel proud of him. Oh, I no longer am chasing his back. We were now walking side by side. That thought alone made my inner self squeal in happiness. He is my dream, and being able to walk by his side, hand in hand, was my lifelong goal. We were already nearing 2 years in a relationship as a couple, despite almost a year and a half of it being him on an S-rank training mission. It can't be helped back then. He needed to train to get stronger and be prepared for possible future threats now that the shinobi world was encountering powerful beings such as the Otsutsukis. However, if there was anything right now that was hurting me, was the newly implemented law by the daimyos. They were now allowing registered male shinobi of the 5 great shinobi nations to marry multiple wives. While they indeed have logical grounds for the implementation of the said law, I believe that those were just mere excuses, as it will only end up as a tool for those in higher society to control powerful shinobi who have fought and survived the recent shinobi world war, mainly Naruto-kun and Sasuke-kun. And here I thought that I can finally walk side by side with Naruto-kun, with just the two of us. However, due to that law, we may still end up walking side by side, but with possibly other women by her side. To make matters worse, I might end up the one being left behind if political marriages began coming to play. The only saving grace that I can see, for now, is to help Naruto-kun find another girl who will accept and love him as who he is. As much as it pains me, that's the best possible option that we have for now. I know that Naruto-kun himself hated the idea, but we don't have a choice. If things will end up with him going to be married into random nobles for mere political reasons and become a pawn under political sense, then I would rather accept the alternative. However, Sakura-san already have Sasuke-kun, Ino-san was now with Sai-san, Tenten-san was more or less with Lee-kun. I even actually thought of Temari-san due to Kazekage-sama's current invitation, but she was already with Shikamaru-san. That was also aside from the fact that those girls weren't even seeing Naruto-kun as a potential partner in life, rather it was more of a comrade-in-arms relationship. But still, just imagining one of those girls talking and spending time with Naruto-kun as a potential love interest hurts me. I have not felt this much jealousy, even during the time that Naruto was trying to flirt with Sakura-san back then. Maybe because the love between me and Naruto-kun at that time was still one-sided, mostly on my end. But as of now, I hate that part of myself. I don't have any reason to be jealous. The fact that he nearly decided to leave the village together with me, so our relationship won't be affected by that law, was more than enough for me to clear any doubts that were currently clouding my heart. I shook my head internally. Now is not the time to think about something like that. Naruto-kun was about to meet Kazekage-sama. I need to present myself as the rightful girl for Naruto-kun in front of those people whom he valued the most. We were welcomed by Kankuro-san and Temari-san right after we entered the gate. It was fun chatting with them while we were on the way towards the Kazekage Tower. Midway towards our destination, Kazekage-sama himself appeared through some sand-based jutsu and he exchanged pleasantries with Naruto-kun. I already knew that they were good friends, but seeing Naruto-kun having a friend of such standing in other villages still made me feel happy for him. We spent our time in the guest room with Kankuro-san and Kazekage-sama. The boys, especially Naruto-kun and Kankuro-san, lively exchanged casual jokes and conversation while Kazekage-sama also talked to them from time to time. I feel like I am just here as an audience, but I don't mind. They were Naruto-kun's close acquaintances, so seeing him having fun while having such light-hearted conversation made it feel fun for me as well. Then, Temari-san was called by Kazekage-sama, inviting another person outside of our current circle. Kazekage-sama even asked Naruto-kun something about the lost city of Roron. While I also am familiar with it due to history classes during the academy days, that still made me wonder what all this was about. It was then that I realized, might be a woman's instinct or such, that something was about to happen right now that will test the current status of our relationship. No, not just that, but the extent of love and trust between me and Naruto-kun. Then, a very beautiful girl entered the room, her silky, red-colored, waist-length hair and royal-ish attire that more or less matched with the color of her hair. Her careful gesture, and her sincere yet determined purple-colored eyes made me realize that she is some queen or sort from some other nation, and what surprised me that much, was the way she called Naruto-kun by his name. The way she called his name, and how her eyes expressively reacted as she called him immediately made me realize that she had a very special connection with Naruto-kun, mostly on her part. Naruto might have met her sometime, somewhere, just that I am not familiar with when or how. However, the way Naruto-kun started towards her says so otherwise. He didn't recognize her, on the surface. But I can see it in his eyes, that Naruto-kun felt something towards her, but he can't just figure it out. I looked towards him as he tried his best to think. trying to remember her, to the point that he was gripping his head as if trying to uncover whatever memories he might have of her, but to no avail. His mind betrays his memories, but his feelings for others won't. That's who Naruto is. I actually don't know how I'd feel in the current situation. In front of me was a very beautiful girl with visible affection for Naruto-kun. My fiancé. Him, on the other hand, was having trouble and doing his best trying to browse his deepest memories just to remember her. It was then that I knew that there was a much deeper connection between the two of them, and even more so on part of the girl. While I don't have any clear information of what the relationship between the two of them have, it was still painful for me to see Naruto-kun react like that in front of another woman, other than me. However, as I look at the girls through her sad, longing eyes, as she looked towards Naruto-kun, all of a sudden, I saw a familiar reflection, a version of my past self in her. A version of me who can't be able to do anything but watch the person that I love the most from afar, always doing my best trying to reach that person, only to always fall short due to my own weakness. Upon seeing Naruto-kun gripping his head with his right hand, I tried to console him by holding his left hand with both my hands as he seemed to have trouble breathing while still trying to remember the girl. The last time I saw him like this was when Neji-Nisan died in front of us during the war, so I tried my best to do the same as I did back then, held his hand and ensure him that I'll always be there for him. It was then that the red-haired girl kneeled in front of us, her purple eyes met with mine. She apologized to me, her emotions clearly emitting in those earnest eyes, as if akin to a pleading one. She then requested to hold Naruto's hand, even for one last time. And her expression when she told me that pained me. Because the very reason why I saw a version of myself in her, was because we're the same. She also loves Naruto-kun, just like me. And the reason why she was crying right now was because she finally understood that she can no longer reach him anymore. Because he already had me by his side, so she doesn't have any other choice but to give up her feelings for him, and all she was asking me right now, was to allow her to hold his hand even for one last time. She's not doing this not for any other reason, she just needed closure to support her broken heart and attempt to move on from here. If I were in her shoes, I don't know if I have enough resolve to do that. I would rather run away, far away, without trying to approach the person that I love. I don't think that I have enough resolve for that closure like this girl intends to do, because I know that I will break apart. I never loved another person as much as I loved Naruto-kun, so what I have for this person right now, was respect and admiration, because she has the resolve to do something that I don't know if I am capable of. That's why I gently grabbed her hand, and with the two of us, touched Naruto-kun's still trembling left hand. She was visibly surprised and even asked me why I did that, and all I can say was, I know that this is the first time that we have met. However, after I saw your feelings and emotions for Naruto-kun, I can't help but feel that I can easily relate to those feelings that you were keeping this entire time within yourself. You know Naruto is who he is, not as what he is, am I right? Even I am surprised that I was able to say such words towards this other girl who have visible affection for my fiancé, but I just can't help it. It wasn't just mere sympathy, it was because I can see the other side of me in her. If Tonari Otsutsuki succeeded in taking me away from Naruto-kun back then, I can see myself having the same broken feelings as her right now. She continued crying, as if praying with our intertwined hands that were touching her forehead, and in that instance, I saw a dream. I saw a girl surrounded by puppets trying to kill her. Then, I saw Naruto-kun doing his best trying to protect her. I saw how Naruto talked to her, continuously encouraging her to do what was right, as the queen of her people. I saw how Naruto-kun slowly changed her, from a self-centered girl into a righteous queen who will do everything that she can to protect and save her people, and he did so unintentionally, and that was when the girl began to develop some deep feelings for him. After those memories flashed through my mind, the former queen, now whom I finally knew as Queen Sarah of Roron, stood up, and without any other word decided to leave the room. If it was painful for me before, then more so right now after I saw her memories, her true feelings. I tried to stop her, but she didn't even bother to look around, or else her resolve will break down. But I can't just leave her be. She had nowhere to go, and the only solace that she had on this foreign timeline for her, right now, was to be with Naruto's side. Sarah. All of a sudden, Naruto-kun spoke. Queen Sarah was visibly stunned. Her feet seemed to get stuck on where she currently is. And as if after completely recollecting himself, he yelled at her, this time with his usual behavior. He yelled at her with all his energy. I don't know why, but this made me smile. Finally, Naruto-kun was finally back to his usual self, and also, was finally able to remember her. She didn't respond to him. The only thing she did was tackle and hug him tightly. Queen Sarah then began crying, burying her face into Naruto-kun's chest. Naruto-kun was visibly confused. Then, as if afraid of something, he looked towards me. While I do feel a little jealous from seeing another woman hugging my fiancé, this time, I don't mind, if not because of everything that I saw. Maybe I had stopped her from hugging my fiancé even before she could reach him. Maybe next time, but not for now. So I simply smiled towards Naruto-kun, telling him that it's fine. Naruto-kun returned the smile, then replied with a silent thank you to me. He then placed both his hands on Queen Sarah's shoulder as if to calm her emotions. With his memories of her finally returned, I can now clearly see that Naruto really treasured her, the same as how he treated his Konoha friends and comrades. But for Queen Sarah, it was this kindness of his that made her deeply fall in love with him. Queen Sarah of Roron, a girl who was trapped in our timeline, with her only wish was being able to stay with Naruto-kun. And then there's me, Naruto-kun's fiancé. I still hate that law. And I still don't like the thought of sharing Naruto-kun with another woman. I don't like him being forced into a marriage due to political reasons or anything relative to that. But we don't have a choice but to abide by the law as shinobi under that law. So the only option that we have was for Naruto to find and marry another woman who will love him as who he is, before the daimyos got a hold of him for their own personal reasons. But maybe, just maybe, if it's Queen Sarah-sama, outskirts of the hidden village of the Leaf, Uchiha training grounds. A pair of shuriken was thrown in opposite directions, then followed by another pair, albeit much faster, of shuriken. The faster shurikens hit the earlier thrown pair of shurikens, deflecting each other, and the force and direction of deflection allowed all four shurikens to hit their respective dartboard-like targets despite those targets being on his blind side. The shinobi responsible for such display of shuriken mastery landed to the ground, revealing himself as Uchiha Sasuke, who was currently practicing his shuriken mastery. After all, it has been a while since he was able to visit this specific training ground. The last time he did so was before the finals of the Chunin exams before Orochimaru and Suna attacked Konoha, the attack that claimed the third Hokage's life. And since his departure from Konoha, until the end of the Fourth Shinobi World War, he couldn't return to this training grounds, and even after the war, due to his self-imposed mission of tracking Otsutsuki traces all the while atoning for his previous crimes, Sasuke never attempted to try using the grounds, let alone visit the by then deserted Uchiha clan compound. However, during Kakashi's reign as the current Hokage, he created an ordinance to periodically clean and maintain the Uchiha clan compound and the said clan's training grounds. While Kakashi didn't express explicitly why, Sasuke believed that the Hokage did so to honor the sacrifices of the Uchihas who sacrificed themselves for the sake village, such as Shisui, Itachi, and Obito. This training ground was very special for him, since he has a lot of memories between him and his family. Most of those memories were with his elder brother Itachi. He then made his way to the nearest tree, sat under it, relaxing while being enveloped by the comforting shades of its leaves. As he ate the packed lunch that Sakura made for her, he then began remembering how his previous short spar with Naruto have unfolded. Passive senjutsu usage without entering sage mode, the fourth Hokage's Hiraishin, Uzumaki clan's chakra chains, and even the new chakra mode, Sasuke muttered. To top that, his shinobi fundamentals improved beyond my expectations. He remembered how Naruto can now able to match his taijutsu and bukijutsu expertise. He can now exchange shuriken throws and close-ranged physical attacks and weapon exchange properly against him. I believe this is now the right time for me seriously consider acquiring a new left arm. Sasuke decided, remembering how Naruto pleaded to Tsunade to make an arm for him like the one the blonde shinobi had right now after the war, but that time, he, himself, declined. That missing arm is proof of his atonement for all his crimes. However, seeing how much Naruto had grown, and with the threat of other possible Otsutsukis lurking around, he must also start making a step forward and protect the current peace that this world currently had. Sasuke then slowly stood from where he was currently sitting after sensing someone watching over him. He then slowly walked away from the tree, entering the nearby small forest with his eyes and senses remaining vigilant. He just knew that was being lured towards the said direction. He just needed to anticipate whatever ambush that might be waiting against him, strike back, and apprehend the culprit. After walking for a few minutes, Sasuke then stopped his movement. Then sighed. After all, most of the world knew him as the current sole person who possessed the Rinnegan, dubbed as the Eyes of the Six Paths. He was challenged by a Ketsuryugan user named Chino before, be it barely posed any challenge, not that he was looking for a challenge at the moment. In fact, he believes that Naruto was the only person who can fight on par against him. That's why someone attempting to ambush or challenge him like this became more of an annoyance for him. Exclamation mark. A hooded person then appeared behind him, then aimed to attack with a weapon known as Kusarigama. It is a scythe-like weapon with chains connected to the end of its hilt, and those chains have a huge chunk of iron steel that can be used as a blunt weapon. Sasuke easily dodged the ambush attack from the scythe's blade. The attacker then proceeded to grab the chain part of Kusarigama, then threw the iron chunk on its end on a tree branch, making the chain wrap halfway on the branch, changing the trajectory of the iron chunk, and now aimed towards Sasuke's head. Sasuke then quickly blocked the iron chunk with his sword, but the chains of the Kusarigama wrapped around his sword's blade. However, with a single hand seal, Sasuke emitted lightning chakra from his sword, channeled to the chains, thus directly electrocuting the hooded attacker, and destroying the hooded cloak that was concealing the attacker's appearance. And much to the Rinnegan wielder's surprise, the appearance of the attacker caught him off guard. The culprit looked like a kid around the same age as them during their Chunin exam. The kid's white hairstyle was pointing towards one specific direction, and much to his surprise, the white attire that the kid was wearing had the signature Uchiha clan mark, and also, the kid had an active, three-tomoed Sharingan while glaring towards him. This kid, Sasuke narrowed his eyes. However, before he can perform his next move, the kid used Shunshin, then disappeared in front of him. He wanted to trace and follow the kid. He easily could if he wanted to, but the situation was screaming as a trap no matter what angle he looks at it. He might be quite powerful now, but he wasn't stupid enough to act like Naruto even in this kind of situation. A young kid with Sharingan, Sasuke said to himself. He was the last surviving member of the Uchiha clan. He believed he was, and that will never change, because the kid that he just met with the Sharingan eyes was clearly not an authentic Uchiha. So there's more to it than it seems, and if this little match fire will not be stopped as early as possible, it may create a wildfire before they even knew it. I need to tell Kakashi immediately. Sasuke then used Shunshin as he decided to report the incident directly to Kakashi. Scene change. Kazekage Tower, hidden village of the sand. On a private onsen bath for VIP female guests of the Kazekage. The former queen of Roron, Sarah, was dipping herself on the warm water of the said onsen that could fit around 4 to 5 people. She was sitting on the onsen's floor, her back lying on its walls, with her entire body dipped up to her shoulder within the warm water as steam continued to be emitted, further hiding her naked body. It was an open bath camouflaged by some sort of barrier to protect the guests from being peeked upon while relaxing. Sarah then looked towards the sky as she leaned her head to the side of the onsen as she tried to relax. Once again, she found herself having only the stars above to whom she could talk to. Naruto, we finally meet again, and despite the memory sealing jutsu done by Minato-san, he was still able to remember me, she said, not talking specifically to anybody. And Hinata-san, she seems to be a very beautiful and kind person, she said with a small, sad smile. She then recollected herself. She was currently on a timeline where she should never exist, and the person that she fell in love with, the very reason why she's on this timeline to begin with, was already in love with someone else, and that someone was such a kind person whom she feels like she can also never hurt. Why, was all that she could say as she folded her legs, bringing her knees close to her face. She wanted to cry, but she can't anymore. She doesn't want to. She should be happy for Naruto and give her best regards to Hinata. Then what should she do after that? She had nowhere to go. She can't even return to her people who have migrated to Suna, since her existence and circumstances will only make things complicated, aside from the fact that she might also get targeted again if some organizations with ill intentions decided to use her again and gain the power of the sealed Ranyaku, just like what happened with Mukade. She's totally lost on what she should do. The tatami door of the onsen then opened. Earning Sarah's attention, she looked towards the person who was entering the onsen, expecting it to be Tamari, but… hello, Sarah-sama, Hinata greeted the former queen. Much to Sarah's surprise, the Hyuga was currently wrapped with nothing except by a towel, intending to take the onsen as well. Hinata-san, Sarah replied with an awkward voice. After all, she just happened to hug the white-eyed girl's fiancé right in front of her just earlier. May I join you? Hinata asked politely. If it's not okay, I'll take my leave. No, please, in fact, I am almost done. You can have the onsen for yourself, Hinata-san. Sarah immediately stood, and attempted to wrap a towel around her naked form so she can leave, however. Then I'll be leaving as well so we can talk outside once you're done dressing up, Hinata replied with a calm demeanor. She might be smiling, but Sarah can see a hint of seriousness in her eyes. Is it really okay? Sarah asked. I thought you might not want to talk with me. I wanted to talk to you, Sarah-sama. Please, just Sarah, Hinata-san. Yes, but also please call me Hinata, Sarah. Sarah nodded. Hinata might look like a calm person, but she can feel that Hinata was also a very strong, determined person. The two girls then dipped themselves on the onsen, their towels folded neatly on the side of the onsen near them. They were sitting together at arm's reach. Hinata has her head lying on the side of the onsen, looking up to the sky, while Sarah had her knees folded in front of her face, as if trying to hide her face from the girl beside her. I am sorry. Sarah was the first to break the silence. I know that Naruto already has you, but I still ended up hugging him in front of you, Hinata. Well, I do feel jealous because of what you did, Hinata replied, but without any hint of anger, surprising the former queen. However, it can't be helped, right? You fell in love with the same person I fell in love with, after all. You're too kind, Hinata, Sarah replied. What if I did that simply because I want to stir some trouble in your relationship? You won't do that, Hinata said with a kind smile. How can you say that? You already knew that I have feelings for him as well, right? That's exactly the reason. You won't do that. You won't do something that Naruto would not like, Hinata replied to her with an earnest tone and expression. Because you already knew that he will always choose you over me, Sarah said, visible hints of jealousy and sadness filled in her voice. No, I didn't mean it like that, sorry, Hinata said as she looked down. The two then stayed quiet for a while, then, Hinata, if it's okay, can you please tell me some of your stories about Naruto, Sarah said with a serious expression towards Hinata. Hinata responded with a smile. Scene change. Naruto was currently standing on the highest veranda near the rooftop of the Cage Tower, thinking about Sarah's current circumstances. He's still wondering why Sarah did something dangerous like that. Good thing nothing wrong happened to her. No, everything was wrong. Sarah was currently on a timeline where she shouldn't exist. She can no longer return to her original timeline, as the current history already told that the last queen of Roron disappeared during the sealing procedures of the Ryumyaku according to Gaara. He is the reason why she's here, so he's the only one she can believe in on this timeline right now. His 16-year-old self didn't realize it that much, but his current self, after unlocking those sealed memories from the past, allowed him to realize how much amazing of a girl and a queen Sarah was, despite learning that she was being manipulated as a puppet princess by Mukade for his own bidding. She was able to gather herself and decided to save her people. She even discarded her royal attire back then for her to be able to move better, guiding her people to a safer location as he fought against Mukade. She reminded him of his past self, of how he was a castaway orphan being hated by the village, but despite knowing that, he kept moving forward, allowing him to stand where he is today. Queen Sarah is indeed a wonderful person, Naruto muttered to himself, smiling while looking at the seemingly unreachable horizon. That's why I can't leave her behind like this. She's here because of me, but… He can now clearly remember the forgotten feelings of his past self who fought to save and protect Sarah against Mukade during that mission. He felt connected to her, as the girl tried to change herself, from a girl who can't trust anybody to a queen who will do her best for the sake of her people. Her determined expression back then, the way she looked towards him back then, all of it was engraved within him since back then. During the time when Queen Sarah came to understand what she needs to do to become the queen. Up to the point where they were about to say goodbye to each other, His past self didn't notice that he had already begun developing some form of admiration for her, and that admiration allowed him to keep standing up and continue fighting despite the beating he received from Mukade. He won't allow his determination to waver no matter what, because he can't let Sarah, who's doing her best in that situation back then, got hurt because of his own weakness. That's why when they were about to part ways after Mukade's defeat and their memories needed to be erased by Minato, he felt a strange feeling that he rarely felt before, the pain of losing someone he truly admires. The fact that he felt such feelings during their supposed separation despite being together for such a short time back then, spoke a lot of how much he somewhat meant to her. That's why, when he met her once again earlier, his memories about her might have been sealed, but those feelings were something that can never be sealed by whatever memory-altering jutsu that was used during that time. Earlier, when he finally remembered her, the first thing he yelled at her was the problem that it might cause between the timelines. But those were just mere excuses. Because of his lost memories from back then and the feelings together with it, felt like he was relieved because he was able to finally remember her and see her again. He might have encouraged her to become a proper queen for her people back then, but the feelings he had right now after remembering and seeing her felt like he doesn't care about it anymore. He was just happy and pleased that he was able to see her again. But my feelings for Hinata are sincere and true as well, Naruto said to himself. It's not like I already have the same feelings for Sarah, just like how I love Hinata right now, but those memories of my past self kept nagging me that Sarah is also a very important person for me. Naruto sighed. He currently had a problem that most guys of his age will kill for, and he was totally oblivious of it. Hinata and Sarah. Naruto scratched his head with both his hands. Damn it. Scene change. Hinata and Sarah were now out of the bath and were now in Sarah's room. Hinata continued telling Sarah some stories about Naruto, on how she saved her multiple times in separate situations during missions, in how his words became his strength during difficult battles she had fought against, on how his Nindo changed her from being a meek girl into who she was today. Sarah intently listened to her stories about him. She can see how in love the Hyuga girl was for him. She felt the pain, but at the same time, she can't help but feel glad for Naruto having such a wonderful woman by his side right now. After a few more minutes, the two then went quiet, both looking down towards the floor. Right now, there were no words to say, until Hinata asked Sarah. Please tell me, Sarah, Hinata said, her expression neutral, towards the red-haired former queen. Do you love Naruto-kun? Yes, I do love him. I am here right now because of him. Sarah didn't avert her gaze. However, this love will never bore anything, because he already had you, Hinata, so I am fine. You don't have to worry about me. Hinata then grabbed both of her hands with both of hers. I know this might be impolite to ask you, but I must, Hinata asked once again, this time, in a more determined tone, are you alright being Naruto-kun's second wife? Sarah muttered in surprise. It was then that she felt that Hinata's hands were trembling. She immediately realized that it took a lot of courage for Hinata to ask such a question towards her. Let me tell you straight, Sarah, Hinata continued, I love Naruto-kun. I want to spend my life together with him. That is my lifelong dream. I love him so much that it pains me just by asking that question to you. Then, why are you asking me such an absurd question? Recently, the daimyos declared a law that allows male shinobi to have multiple wives. They did so due to the excuse of the descending population of the world in connection to the continued wars that happened in the past. And due to shinobi being mostly men, and those men were killed in action during the consecutive war and conflicts, it created a big gap between men and women population and will affect the growth of the succeeding generation. That's why, according to the law, to circumvent the said ratio, a male shinobi can marry up to 8 wives, depending on his status and achievements. Sarah is at loss for words due to the sudden revelation. It was then that she saw a lone tear rolling down Hinata's cheeks. I believe you already knew that Naruto-kun was now regarded as the hero of the shinobi world, and due to that, many nobles and daimyos even from other nations will target Naruto-kun for a political or arranged marriage, and I don't like that, but I won't be able to do anything about it if such a thing happens. Then, what can we do? Sarah asked, feeling the same concern as Hinata for the blonde shinobi. The only way for Naruto-kun not to be married against his will was that he must marry 8 women before the daimyos begin to use him for forced or political marriages. However, if it's possible, it is preferable that those women whom he must marry beforehand will love him as who knew he is, not what he currently is. That's why I am asking you, Queen Sarah of Roran, will you help me to protect Naruto as his second wife? Hinata said, but this time, the Hyuga had another lone tear escaping from her eye as she continued to shiver while grabbing both of Sarah's hands. Upon seeing such emotion, Sarah can't help but feel connected to the girl in front of her. She first viewed her as a beautiful, kind, yet determined woman who fell in love with Naruto because of who he actually was. While her point of view of her right now didn't change much, now more than ever, she can feel how much Hinata really loves Naruto for her to ask such a difficult question. She realized that Hinata simply doesn't want Naruto to end up marrying another woman, more so into a woman who will only use him due to his power and fame, while Hinata wanted Naruto all by herself and to spend time as a proper husband and wife as how it used to in the foreseeable future. She doesn't have any other choice but to accept a law that could break Naruto apart, and she had kept all those feelings within herself so as to not make Naruto worry about it. That's why instead of the worst, Hinata decided to accept the alternative, to allow Naruto to marry another girl, a girl who loves Naruto as a person, not as a renowned hero. That was the reason why Hinata was crying in front of her right now, because Hinata knew that Sarah also loves Naruto, but it will depend if Sarah will accept Naruto having another wife other than her. The two of them understood each other, they both love him so much, and both don't want another woman who will only use Naruto for whatever reason, so this time. Understood, Hinata. Sarah smiled towards the Hyuga girl, if you'll allow me, and if Naruto will accept me, please let me be his second wife. Sarah, Hinata muttered as she wiped away her tears. Let us protect him together, as his partners in life, Sarah said as she gently hugged Hinata. The Hyuga returned the hug, accepting the other former queen as someone whom she will share Naruto's love with. It was still painful accepting another woman for Naruto other than her, but the pain was not much anymore, as she knew now that this person also shared the same feelings as her, and she also believed that like her, Sarah might have also felt the same pain of needing to share their beloved person. It's a mutual situation between them, that's why they can understand each other right now. The two of them let go of each other, then smiled. Let me tell Naruto-kun about this, Hinata said, I am sure he won't mind, because it is you, Sarah. Sarah shook her head, please let me, I want to tell Naruto my own feelings, I want to let him decide for the both of us, she said with a resolute expression. Sarah, Hinata looked towards the former queen's determined eyes, she then smiled, as if a part of her burden was being lifted off. Scene change. Naruto remained on the veranda near the top of the cage tower, still at a loss for what he should do for Sarah. He stayed like that for a while, as if hoping that the mild wind could blow away the anxiety that he currently had for his current situation. He was glad that Gaara and Kankuro weren't with him right now. In fact, he understood that they chose to leave him alone for now. What should I do? I love Hinata. I love her so much, but I can't just leave Sarah alone, because I will be betraying these feelings from the unlocked memories of the past me during the time I met her. As continued to mumble in circles, Naruto-kun, Hinata called him from behind to get his attention. The Hyuga princess then entered the veranda, and much to Naruto's surprise, walking behind her was Sarah, who had a serious expression on her face. Those were the very same expression she had when he entrusted his Konoha chakra blade to her and also when she discarded her royal robe back then before the final fight against Mukade proceed. Hinata, Sarah, Naruto felt like his heart skipped a beat. He would rather face 1,000 Madara clones right now than deal with the current situation. Naruto-kun, Sarah wanted to say something, Hinata said with a small smile. Naruto then looked towards Sarah, unsure of what she was about to say to him. Hinata and Sarah looked towards each other, then exchanged a nod, the gesture surprising the blonde knucklehead. Sarah then walked towards Naruto and stood right in front of him. Naruto, Sarah said, her purple eyes looking directly at his azure ones, her gaze unwavering. The last time we're able to talk properly with just the two of us, was when I told you that I want to know what's really happening in my city during Mukade's reign, right? Yeah, that time you act like a bratty lit, Naruto. Would you shut up for a moment? The first thing you did to me after we met again was yell at me, so let me do the talking for now or I won't be able to tell you properly what I need to say. Sarah rebutted before Naruto could even finish his statement. Ah, the blonde intelligently replied, but within him, he felt relieved, because this is the Sarah that he knew, the strong-willed queen who did her best to save her people, so he just sighed, then looked back directly at her. I know it was too late, but I just want to thank you for everything you did for me back then, Sarah said as she also looked directly into his eyes. Thank you for saving me when I almost fell to my death. Thank you for approaching and talking to me after the time I learned that I am only being used by Anrokuzan. I mean, Mukade. Thank you, for making me realize what a queen should be, and what a queen should be doing for her people. Thank you, for giving me the determination and strength that I need so I could do what I need to do. Thank you for saving and protecting me, numerous times, despite being beaten badly during your fight against those powerful mechanical puppets. Thank you, for continuously standing up no matter how much you were battered. Thank you, for everything you did to me back then. Well, I am just doing my job. A single light glare from the former queen shut Naruto's mouth again. However, Sarah then grabbed Naruto's cloak with both her hands, pulling Naruto closer to her face. How dare you make me feel like this? How dare you made me fall in love with you despite our differences? How dare you made me realize that I cannot spend my life alone if you won't be by my side? Sarah, Naruto, despite trying not to, blushed hard after hearing those words. That's why, I need you to take responsibility. Sarah was now yelling this time, her facial expression was now overflowing with emotions. Propose to me, right here, right now. Naruto and Hinata replied with dumbfounded expressions due to the sudden unexpected words that Sarah had just said. I have already told you my honest feelings, right? So please, Naruto, Sarah said, while her determined expression didn't change, she wasn't able to stop a lone tear from running down her face. I am glad that you feel that way about me. Honestly, I am completely clueless regarding something like this, Naruto replied, but Naruto then looked towards Hinata, as if afraid of what his fiancée was thinking about the sudden turn of events. Naruto-kun, please don't mind me for now, I also need to hear your response, Hinata simply said to him. The three then fell silent. Sarah let go of Naruto's collar, as she looked down to the ground, hiding her eyes with her bangs. Naruto suddenly rubbed his head with both his hands in a continuous, comical fashion. What should I do? I care for Sarah. She is a very important person to me. Before I knew Hinata's feelings for me, those unlocked memories from before were telling me that Sarah has a place within me. But I already have Hinata. How can you two girls talk like there is nothing wrong with it? Fine, if that's what you want, then so be it. Naruto said with resolve, I have feelings for Sarah. She was one of those few people who made me feel like this during that time. I also felt the pain of never seeing her again after defeating Mukade, and I am so happy and relieved that I was able to see her again. But, I also love Hinata. She's one of those people who always believed in me. She's been there for me since our childhood days. She loved me even though I did nothing back to her. She continued to believe in me despite almost breaking down on multiple occasions. She's the pillar of my strength even before I even knew it. I love Hinata, yet I also have feelings for Sarah. I am one of those stupid bastards who happened to fall in love with two different girls. And I am totally torn about it. Naruto yelled, while I love Hinata more than anything, I also feel like Sarah is a very special person to me. So, tell me, what should I do? I can't just discard these feelings I have and move on like these have nothing to do with me. Naruto then stopped while looking towards the two girls, with light panting after yelling. A moment of silence, with Naruto trying to calm himself while Hinata and Sarah observed the frantic guy in front of them. I am glad. Sarah looked towards Naruto, then smiled lovingly towards the guy. My feelings got through to you. Hinata then walked to Sarah's side, with the two girls smiling towards each other. What are you? Naruto asked, completely clueless about what the two beautiful girls in front of him were thinking. The daimyo's law, Naruto-kun, Hinata said, smile still painted on her face. But, ain't that unfair for the both of you? Naruto rebutted, both of you are amazing women, so. Stop, Hinata immediately said, halting Naruto's sentence. I love you, Naruto-kun. It also happened that Sarah also loves you. It is painful for me to share you with another woman. but with due to how things were turning out due to that law, it will only be a matter of time before it happens, so if such thing will inevitable, I'd rather share you with another woman who will value you the same way that I love you, and Queen Sarah. But, please, Naruto, Sarah spoke this time, you're the only one who I want to spend my life with. If being your second wife was the best option than the alternative of totally losing you, I'd always choose you over that alternative. Naruto looked directly at the two girls in front of him. Never in his life had he felt so lucky, yet so conflicted at the same time. Are you too sure that you're okay with it? Naruto asked seriously. Sarah replied with a light nod. Hinata said with her usual smile, both the girls have the same trace of blush on their faces. Well, if it's okay, and the two of you seem to get along, why don't we give it a try? Naruto said while looking away, also with a light blush on his face while lightly scratching his lower right cheek with his right index finger. After all, despite already having Hinata, I don't know if I can take it if Sarah would be taken by some other man, so. Sarah then blushed hard after hearing those words. She intended to tackle Naruto into a hug due to what she just heard, but she restrained herself from doing so, as if still waiting for something to happen. Now what? You can't flatter me with such words. Sarah, blushing like a teen Hinata would, tried to act like her usual queen persona, but completely failing miserably. What now, Naruto? His voice now complaining. Propose to me. You're still going on with that? Hinata had a visible sweat drop after seeing how the two conversed. Fine. Naruto sighed, then looked seriously towards Sarah. Queen Sarah of Roron, will you accept being my fiancé, and marry me, as my second wife? You idiot. This time, after a sincere smile, Sarah tackled Naruto into a hug, a tight, loving hug. Hinata smiled at the two, while it still pained her to see how her fiancé, once again, was hugging another woman. She can't help but smile, however. Sarah suddenly pulled Hinata towards her in Naruto's hug. Sarah also hugged Hinata, with the Hyuga reacting with a surprised expression. Thank you, Hinata, for allowing me to be Naruto's second wife, Sarah muttered in a low voice during their hug, but enough for Naruto and Hinata to hear. I love you, Naruto. Those heartfelt words made Hinata let her guard down, as she also returned the gesture, hugging both Naruto and Sarah as well. I am still the first wife, so, Hinata said while stuttering. Yeah, you'll always be, Hinata, Naruto replied with a grin. Sarah, I may not have the same feelings I have with Hinata for you yet, but that doesn't mean that I don't like you. In fact, I feel like I also love you, Sarah, so please give me time, so I can adjust myself and return those feelings to you, as my second wife. I know, Sarah replied as she tightened the hug, and I'll also do my best so you can also love me the same way you love Hinata, and Hinata, I promise that you will never regret allowing me to become Naruto's second wife, I swear, as a former queen of Roron. Hi, Hinata lightly leaned this time to Sarah during the hug, now fully accepting the former queen as Naruto's second wife. Scene change. Somewhere in Sunagaku, a certain small creature was currently watching Naruto, Hinata, and Sarah from a considerable distance as the three were having such a conversation. While the creature couldn't understand what the three were walking about due to the distance, the creature's grotesque-looking mouth smirked maliciously towards Naruto. So there you are, Uzumaki Naruto, the current Jinchuriki of all the tailed beasts, the creature spoke in interest. The creature's singular eye then glowed, revealing itself as a Sharingan. The creature then created a space-time jutsu, then allowed itself to be sucked within the ripple created by the said jutsu. Hidden village of the Sand's main gate. Naruto, Hinata, and Sarah stood just outside the gates as they were about to leave. In front of them were Gaara, Temari, and Kankuro, with some of the village's populace standing a few meters behind them. So it all worked out for you in the end, Sarah, Temari said as she gave a smile to her new friend. I am glad for you. Yes, thanks for being there for me during this entire time that I spent here in Suna, Temari. Sarah returned the smile. She's currently wearing a hooded cloak for her not to be recognized by the former citizens of Roron that were assimilated by the Sand Village after the events of the Third Shinobi World War. Hinata, please take care of Sarah. Temari turned her attention this time to the Hyuga girl. This is basically an entirely new world for her. I believe the two of you would definitely be able to get along. Yes, the two of us have already come to terms with it, Hinata replied to the blonde kunoichi. Hinata and Sarah then looked towards each other, then exchanged smiles, making Tamari return the gesture with her usual Naruto-like grin. On the other hand, thanks for the hospitality, Gaara, Naruto said with a big smirk to the Kazekage. You're always welcome here, Gaara replied with a small smile. And also, thanks for looking out and taking care of Sarah for me, that meant a lot. Don't mention it, you'll do the same if you're in my shoes. Yeah, you know me too well, haha, Naruto replied, slightly embarrassed as he scratched the back of his head. But still, Gaara then looked towards the three girls who were talking a few meters away from them, specifically towards Hinata and Sarah. You already have the Byakugan princess, but now, you also happen to make a queen from a distant time fall for you. Hey Gaara, so you now know how to make fun of me, huh? Naruto gave the red-headed Kazekage a deadpanned expression, but how about you? How are you and your village coping with the implementation of that law? Well, despite being a cage, we are still under the daimyo's authorities, specifically regarding such political matters, Gaara replied. As for me, as long as that law will not heavily affect the economic movement of the village, or the safety of the village in general, you'll just have to comply with that law. Oh, you don't seem to be that distraught about it, don't tell me you already have a girl or two. If Gaara already has one, then we would have introduced her, or them to you already, Kankuro rebutted. All that I can do is to adjust and be a role model to the people of the sand, and besides, it's not like Kankuro knew everything about me, Gaara followed, surprising Kankuro with the thought that Gaara was possibly hiding something from him. After all, I am not dense enough to acknowledge other people's feelings around me, unlike this someone that I know. You really like to make fun of me these few days, huh? Naruto comically narrowed his eyes towards Gaara. Just make sure to visit us again sometime, we'll always welcome you with open arms, Kankuro immediately said to Naruto. Yeah, I know, you guys have all my thanks, Naruto lightly bowed his head. Hinata, Sarah, we need to go. Yes, Hinata and Sarah then also lowered their heads to the sand village, as they began walking together with Naruto towards the borders of the hot desert of the Wind Country. Scene change. Some unknown location. A hooded figure stood in one of the elevated areas of the said location. A few meters behind stood the same kid with Sharingan who attempted a short skirmish against Uchiha Sasuke from before. So you have finally returned, the hooded man said towards the kid with Sharingan. How is it, your impression of Uchiha Sasuke? He is indeed very powerful, incredibly powerful, the kid replied emotionlessly. The hooded man looked towards the kid, implying him to continue his evaluation of the lone surviving Uchiha. But, he murdered Itachi, that simply cannot go unpunished, the kid with Sharingan continued, gripping his knuckles. That's why he must perish, and die by my hands. Very well said, the hooded figure smirked maliciously. Uchiha Sasuke, he is a true disgrace to the proud clan of the Uchiha. Not only he killed Itachi, but he betrayed his village to join Orochimaru in his quest to gain more power. He then betrayed and disposed of that snake only to join the Akatsuki, then, ended up also betraying the Akatsuki and returning back to that village. Betrayal clearly runs in his blood. The eye of the hooded figure somewhat glowed right after those words, revealing the eye as a fully matured Sharingan similar to the kid he's talking to. With the two individuals seemingly having a mutual agreement against Sasuke, another creature appeared between them. It was a small creature about the size of a dog, albeit with somewhat deformed physical characteristics, like the finger-sized arms and legs, and notably, its lone eye having the same fully matured Sharingan similar to the ones within the vicinity. It seems like Uzumaki Naruto and Hyuga Hinata are about to leave Sunagaku, the creature spoke, its voice somewhat sounding similar to that of the hooded person. It seemed like the creature took advantage of its space-time jutsu for it to be able to enter and leave Sunagaku as he pleased to monitor Naruto and Hinata's activities. Who? The so-called hero of the Fourth Shinobi War, the Jinchuriki of all the tailed beasts, Uzumaki Naruto, and the pure-blooded Hyuga who was also known as the Byakugan princess, Hyuga Hinata, the hooded man smirked. If I remember correctly, the Jinchuriki is said to be a very close friend to Uchiha Sasuke. That's right, the Sharingan-eyed small creature reaffirmed, and it also seemed like they'll be taking a non-shinobi girl on their ranks on their way back to Konohagakure. That's rather interesting, the hooded man once again gave an evil smirk. we have little chance if we'll go head-to-head against the Jinchuriki and the Byakugan princess. However, with that non-shinobi woman in their ranks, we can take advantage of that and use her as their weakness." "Indeed," the creature replied, its grotesque-looking mouth smirking at the idea from the hooded man. "All right, time for the next phase to proceed," the hooded man spoke. "Target the Jinchuriki or the Byakugan princess, bring either of them or even both of them here, use that other girl who's with them and exploit that weak point. The Jinchuriki and the Byakugan princess, once we were able to capture them, will mark the start of a new era, and the revival of the Akatsuki," the creature also spoke in a malicious tone. "Understood." Instead of a single voice, multiple identical voices echoed from the vicinity, and from the shadows, several other kids appeared with the very same identical appearance as the initial kid with fully matured Sharingan appeared and let their presence be known. Scene change. "Now this is the wind breeze that I love," Naruto said with a cheerful expression as their group finally entered the borders of the Fire Country. After an hour of break after crossing the borders of the Wind Country and the Fire Country, the trio decided to finally resume their travels. Hinata actually asked Sarah if it is alright for her to continue traveling after such a short break since they've just been through a scorching desert, but Sarah said that it was alright, since she grew up surrounded by desert, so such heat was just an everyday thing for her. Since Sarah wasn't a shinobi, Naruto volunteered to carry her on his back, earning a small blush from the former queen, but Sarah dismissed his offer and chose to be carried by Hinata, upon which Hinata immediately agreed. While Hinata might have a perfect, slender body like that of a beautiful woman, she still was a well-trained kunoichi, so her carrying someone of her weight like Sarah won't be that much of a problem for her. Naruto and Hinata then began hopping at high speeds from branch to branch of the trees en route back to Konoha, with Naruto delightfully enjoying the wind breeze flowing from the shades of the trees they were passing through, while Sarah was smiling all the time. This was her first time being surrounded by such large trees, and such calming breeze from their current movement speed made her feel so refreshed. "You know Hinata, I think you're a very awesome girl," Sarah suddenly whispered to Hinata. What's that all of a sudden, Sarah?" Hinata replied. "I mean, we're about the same age and physiques, yet you can carry me so casually despite moving like this at high speeds. It made me wonder actually if this was the feeling of a backpack being carried by the shinobi during your missions." Comparing a queen to some luggage is a bit." "Hinata, I am no longer a queen," Sarah said in a commanding, yet playful tone. "I want you to be comfortable with me, we'll be living like sisters from now on, right?" Yeah, sorry," Hinata politely apologized. "While I do already have come to terms with it, all the sudden events involving Naruto-kun, me, and you from the past few days are still a bit new for me." "Same for me, that's why I want the two of us to actually get along properly," Sarah said with a small smile. "Naruto is the only one I have when I came to this timeline, but now, you're with me as well, that's why I want the two of us to have a close relationship, if it's okay with you." "Yes, you don't have to worry about it, you're a wonderful person, Sarah," Hinata replied. "You see Naruto the same way I see him, that's why I believe that we can get along properly." The two girls smiled at each other. While there might still be some wall between the two of them, they both knew that they could breach that wall as time goes on, not only for Naruto, but for the two of them as well, and they'll be going to take that process one step at a time. Naruto then looked towards the Hinata and Sarah. He's currently hopping a few meters ahead of them, trying to sense any possible dangers and deal with them as fast as possible if something ever happens. That's why he can't hear the conversation between the two. But still, to see the important women of his life having such conversations with smiles on their faces made him also feel happy for a reason. His love for Hinata did not waver, yet his feelings for Sarah were also becoming somewhat stronger. Hinata supported and loved him even before their academy days. Sarah also showed her strong feelings for him by discarding everything and chased him in this timeline. The only way he can return those feelings to them was to make them happy and ensure that he will always protect them no matter what. Naruto suddenly narrowed his eyes. In truth, now that he's thinking about it, he already knew that he'll still always be a constant target by some rogue organizations due to him being the Jinchuriki of all the tailed beasts. At the same time, Hinata can also be targeted, rather, has already been targeted a few times due to her pure Hyuga bloodline and her fully matured Byakugan. And in Sarah's case, once someone caught the wind of her having access to the Ryumyaku The potent chakra ley line existing within the ruins of Roron, she might also end up being targeted as well by those same organizations. After all, based on his now more advanced sensing capabilities, the chakra potency within of the said ley line, more or less, could rival the chakra levels of that of the Jubi, while the world was currently at peace, and such organizations were now being hunted down with the collective efforts of the 5 cages. The risks were still there. Just like the ones that he just sensed who were following them right now. Naruto immediately looked towards Hinata, and with eye-to-eye contact, the two of them nodded to each other. Sarah wondered what those gestures was about, but she thought that it might be a shinobi thing or something. Naruto then threw a Hiraishin Kunai, then performed a single-hand seal for Kunai Cage Bunshin. The now multiple Hiraishin Kunais landed in a circular pattern on the ground, with Naruto and Hinata landing in the middle of the said circular pattern. Hinata then have Sarah stand on her feet as she activated her Byakugan and prepared her usual Juken fighting stance. 6 hostiles, Hinata muttered, her Byakugan tracing their attackers. Yeah, Naruto affirmed, Hinata, I'll be the one to engage them. Please focus on protecting Sarah. You will only take action just in case an attack happens to bypass what I am about to do. Yes, Hinata nodded, believing in her fiancé like she used to. Just be careful out there, Sarah said with visible worry for her beloved knucklehead. In that instance, a rain of shurikens, kunais, and other bladed shinobi weapons came into view, coming from multiple directions, with numbers ranging from several tens to hundreds, dashing in high speed towards them. Naruto then drew another Hiraishin Kunai from his weapon pocket while sensing the trajectory of each individual weapons that were aimed towards them, and in that instance, Naruto disappeared from his current position. Then all that Hinata saw were multiple flickering sounds, followed by some sort of reddish-orange flashes, all the while hearing multiple metallic clashing sounds echoing around them. Her Byakugan saw the shurikens, kunais, and other weapons that were supposed to be aimed at them being flung away due to Naruto deflecting them by flashing through the Hiraishin kunais surrounding them in circular pattern. So this is the 4th Hiraishin. While she already saw a glimpse of the jutsu during his quick battle against Sasuke a few days ago, seeing it up close and personal like this still made her feel dumbstruck. This is the jutsu that made the 4th Hokage one of the most powerful shinobi of his time, and now, his son, Naruto, was taking the mantle and was now using that said jutsu as his own. After a few good seconds, Naruto returned from his previous position in a flash with his right knee kneeling down to the ground. He then slowly stood up, his eyes all serious, as he once again tried sensing his surroundings. What just happened? Sarah muttered, somewhat speechless. Due to the sudden turn of events, she saw a barrage of kunai from all sides aimed at them earlier, but in literal flashes and movement, all the weapons were deflected and sent flying to the nearest trees or empty space. With the 3 of them totally unharmed, she knew that Naruto was the one responsible for deflecting the attacks based on the brief conversation with Hinata earlier, but still, she was quite in awe after realizing that Naruto was now capable of doing such moves. Here they come, Naruto said seriously as he positioned his Hiraishin Kunai equipped on his right hand in a reverse grip, horizontal pose. From the shadows of the trees, 6 individuals with identical appearances came out, with all of them having albino-like skin, white hair that was pointing upwards in one specific direction, and the most notable were the Sharingan, Hinata muttered, narrowing her eyes. Yes, Sharingan, however, I can sense that they barely have an Uchiha blood in them. Silence, Jinchuriki, one of them Sharingan-wielding kid spoke. Who are you kids, and what do you want from us? We are Shin Uchiha, another of the kids spoke, and father said to bring all of you with us. Exclamation mark. Naruto then narrowed his eyes as he sensed that the kids were needing chakra on their Sharingan eyes, and much to his and Hinata's surprise, the Sharingan morphed into a unique pattern, transforming into the renowned upgraded version of the regular Sharingan. This is Mangekyo Sharingan, Hinata said. So, no need to hold back for me then. Naruto then began flaring his potent chakra, creating cracks on the ground and shaking the trees nearest them. The kids with Mangekyo, now collectively known as Shin Uchiha, were taken aback by the sudden massive pressure. The pressure being directed at them was so immense that they felt like suffocating, with even their throat and mouth feeling like suddenly just they dried up. Let's go. The kids with Mangekyo gritted their teeth to endure the pressure, then performed hand seals in perfect synchronization with their Mijikyu eyes glowing, in that instance, the previous bladed weapons that Naruto deflected earlier began moving again. I see, so this is the power of their Mangekyo, Naruto said as he observed the pattern and movement of the kids that were controlling the bladed projectiles. The bladed weapons then, instead of attacking them once again, began to move in a circular pattern, encircling the ground where Naruto, Hinata, and Sarah were currently located. As more blades began moving and joining the earlier blades moving in a circular pattern, the speed of their movement became faster and faster, until it became too fast that the blades now created a makeshift whirlwind due to the rapid spinning movement of the blades, with the epicenter acting as the trio's prison, with seemingly no means of escape unless risking an attack that would greatly damage them due to the blades surrounding them. However, for Naruto, this is another way for him to try using some other jutsus he learned from his previous training in real-time fight. He can easily escape this trap together with his fiancées if he wanted to. Still, he saw this as an opportunity to try his other new jutsus before it became public knowledge. Hinata, Sarah, what I am about to show you right now is still a confidential jutsu, Naruto said, with Hinata and Sarah nodding. Stick close to me and be amazed. Ibeo. In that instance, the bluish chakra that Naruto was needing slowly changed its color to reddish-orange color. Hinata expected a Biju-related power-up due to the chakra's change of hue. However, much to her surprise, a different chakra construct started to form, a form that shouldn't be possible for someone like Naruto. This is Susanoo, Hinata said in wonder as the skeletal ribcage enclosed the three of them. The ethereal chakra construct continued to increase its size, including its two pairs of skeletal arms. Then its musculature enveloped the skeletal structure, followed by its shell-like armor, until forming a half-bodied humanoid shape with an appearance strikingly similar to that of Uchiha Itachi's Susanoo. Hinata then immediately looked towards Naruto's eyes, and as expected, the blonde shinobi retained his usual azure-colored eyes like he normally had. But, how come? With a single swing from one of its limbs, the half-bodied humanoid Susanoo destroyed the whirlwind of bladed weapons surrounding them. The Susanoo then raised four of its limbs, all of which were equipped with Susanoo's projected chakra sword. Then, since all of you had Mangekyo, I believe you have been through some grueling training, so I know that all of you can survive this. Naruto then opted for the Susanoo to slam all its swords simultaneously to the ground, greatly shaking the entire forest. Several trees were blown away, with huge crevices on the ground where each of the Susanoo's swords was swung down. As the dust and smoke from the attack dispersed, Naruto saw the Shin Uchihas lying down on the ground, most of them unconscious, with the only one not having lost consciousness glaring towards Naruto. Naruto then dispelled the Susanoo after seeing that their attackers no longer have the means to fight back. As Naruto was about to move to approach the remaining conscious kid, a small creature with a grotesque physical appearance, and with its one eye notably having the same matured Sharingan as the other kids he just defeated appeared beside one of the unconscious Shin Uchiha. While Naruto narrowed his eyes, wondering what this creature was about to do, the creature used a space-time jutsu, absorbing the Shin Uchiha beside it, seemingly to teleport it away from their current location. Space-time ninjutsu similar to Kamui's teleportation ability. So they also have access to such. Naruto then glared at the remaining conscious Shin Uchiha. And as expected, the creature reappeared again to claim another unconscious Shin Uchiha. However, this time, the creature appeared between the two unconscious Uchihas that happened to land near each other due to the impact of Naruto's earlier attack before losing consciousness. Naruto then sharply threw a shuriken towards the creature, but the creature was able to teleport away together with the two unconscious Uchihas before the shuriken could even land. The creature once again reappeared right behind the fourth unconscious Shin Uchiha, attempting to teleport the said kid away as it did from the earlier three, but Naruto then dashed at massive speeds, intending to knock the creature out before it could teleport. However, the sole remaining Shin Uchiha who retained its consciousness blocked Naruto's path. The blonde shinobi was able to knock the kid out easily. However, that was more than enough time for the creature to teleport the fourth kid away. Naruto then grabbed the Uchiha kid that he had just knocked out by its collar with his left hand, then focused on the one remaining unconscious Uchiha that was lying in distance. He drew a Hiraishin kunai and equipped it on his right hand, preparing to use Hiraishin to knock the teleporting creature out should he sense even a little distortion in space-time around the final remaining Uchiha kid. But much to his surprise, The ripple in space-time appeared right above Sarah and Hinata instead, and while Hinata noticed the creature's sudden appearance right above them, she can't just strike it carelessly since the space-time jutsu might teleport her away in contact. Those bastards, they intend to take Hinata and Sarah away. At moment's notice, instead of the Hiraishin, Naruto threw the unconscious Uchiha Shin that he was currently grabbing on his left hand towards the space-time jutsu where the creature was supposed to appear, and as the creature appeared in the middle of the ripple intending to teleport Hinata and Sarah to their hideout, the creature got hit by the unconscious Uchiha Shin that Naruto just threw, immediately warping themselves away in contact. Without any hesitation, Naruto threw the Hiraishin kunai he was currently holding, targeting it to land between Sarah and Hinata. Naruto then used Shunshin towards the final Shin Uchiha, grabbed it by the collar, and before the Hiraishin kunai he just threw land, Naruto flashed into the said kunai, caught the said weapon midair, then stood right beside Hinata and Sarah. "How dare you target the people I care about?" Naruto said, his eyes dangerously filled in rage due to the previous attempt against Hinata and Sarah. After a few seconds, then a minute, then another minute, but the creature with the Sharingan didn't return to either target the girls or the remaining unconscious Shin Uchiha that he was currently grabbing by the collar. Scene change. Stop. The hooded man, the seemingly eldest Shin Uchiha, stopped the creature from returning back in an attempt to claim the final Shin Uchiha or capture at least the pure-blooded Hyuga. "Why?" The creature with a Sharingan retorted, "We should recover that final clone of us or at the very least, capture the Hyuga. We need either an Uchiha, a pure-blooded Hyuga, or a Biju for us to execute our plans. Remember, once Konoha got a hold of even a single clone of ours, it'll compromise our plans and put us at a huge disadvantage. If you return back to where Uzumaki Naruto currently is for whatever attempts you intend to right now, you'll be dead meat before you even know it," the hooded Shin Uchiha replied coldly. "You already performed your space-time ninjutsu in front of him more than once. Hell, get caught off guard the first or second time. But remember, you were only able to escape the third and fourth time due to circumstances. If you return right now, I believe that'll be your very last moment." "Then, tell me," the creature asked once again, "we have sent 6 of your clones against him, all with Mangekyu Sharingan active. Uchiha Madara was able to subdue the 9 tails with just his Mangekyu, so we should be capable of that as well, but he defeated all of us without tapping the Biju chakra within him. I know, if he used any of his Biju abilities, we might have a chance to use Mangekyu Genjutsu and incapacitate him," the hooded Shin Uchiha muttered, but he had already become much more powerful than before, specifically, that Susanoo. The Susanoo, a power said to rival those of the Bijus, should be accessible by non-Mangekyu users, let alone a non-Uchiha. We already have the power of the Mangekyu, yet we couldn't use that jutsu. Uzumaki Naruto is an anomaly. A disgrace to Uchiha's power, much like Uchiha Sasuke. And I'll make sure that those two will meet their ends once they face me. Scene change. It seems like, it's over, Hinata, she said as deactivated her Byakugan. "What did just happen?" Sarah asked in worry. As a royalty who grew up within the walls of a formerly great city, such events like this were somewhat foreign to her. While she already saw how a shinobi battles back then against Mukade, she still can't comprehend what just happened in the past few minutes. "Some group attempted to ambush us, and we just did an act of self-defense." Naruto grinned towards Sarah, reassuring the former queen, "I promise that I will protect the two of you, right?" Sarah nodded with a smile, then exchanged smiles with Hinata. The blonde shinobi then performed a series of hand signs, then lightly slapped his palm to the forehead of the remaining unconscious Shin Uchiha. The Fuinjutsu somewhat has the effect of temporarily sealing the consciousness of the victim so it won't wake up on their way to Konoha and cause them trouble along the way. Naruto then summoned 2 Kage Bunshins, and before the 2 girls could react, each of the clones lifted the 2 girls respectively, princess style, earning a blush from the 2 girls. "Naruto-kun, I can," Hinata said with a blush on her face. "I know, but right now, you should the Naruto clone lifting her said as he, together with the other clone who was carrying Sarah, leapt to the nearest branch and start moving at a much faster pace than before. "Since we already knew that we are being targeted, we need to move faster and return to Konoha as soon as possible." The original Naruto then lifted the unconscious Uchiha, latched it on his left shoulder, then also followed his clones with a serious expression. "You're concerned about this incident, right?" Hinata asked. Yeah, the Kage Bunshin who's carrying her replied, a group of individuals with possibly transplanted Mangekyo Sharingan and with access to space-time ninjutsu. Everything about the group responsible for this screams trouble. I know that you can trace them with your Sage mode, but it's a good thing you didn't. There is a high possibility that having you search for them on your own might be a trap, and even if you decided to chase them, it'll still stop you from doing so. The Bunshin replied with a nod, and besides, I won't track and chase them while you and Sarah were still outside the village, and since we're dealing with Mangekyo Sharingan and space-time jutsus here, it'll be best to have Sasuke tag along while dealing with them. While I can deal with them all on my own, Sasuke's eyes can still see something beyond what I can perceive, and with these elements coming into play, I believe that would be the most logical route that we must take for now. Hinata gave a gentle smile towards Naruto. While he still remained as the same Naruto that she always knew, it is a joy for her to see how her beloved blonde shinobi was now acting more mature and more shinobi-like than before. By the way, if isn't too much to ask, Naruto-kun. How come? You can use a Susanoo without having a Mangekyo, let alone a Sharingan. The Naruto Bunshin carrying her reacted with his usual squinted eyes with a thinking expression. You see, it is true that Uchihas must have unlocked their Mangekyo Sharingan to be able to use Susanoo. That will always be the case and that will never change. However, recently, there were a few exceptions that slightly altered that. But that exception still must abide by the actual rule. Remember that during the Fourth Shinobi War, Madara was able to use his Susanoo despite being literally blind. No Mangekyo, no Sharingan, not even an eyeball. Then there's also Kakashi-sensei, who was able to use Obito's Susanoo for a few minutes during our fight against Kaguya despite him literally not having any biological relation to the Uchihas, except from the chakra lent to him by Obito. I see, Hinata lightly nodded, but still. None from Konoha may have knew, but I have fragments of Uchiha chakra that was dormant within me, the Naruto Bunshin continued. First, Uchiha Itachi used his crow which was made from his very own chakra as a vessel to give me a power that he believed that I can use against Sasuke should he ever decide to attack Konoha back then. Second, the power that Itachi's crow contained that time that entered my body was Uchiha Shisui's very own eye and chakra. Third, Uchiha Obito used his own 6 paths empowered chakra to transfer the Yin Kurama and fragments of Shukaku and Hachibi's chakra within me before our final battle with Madara, and it should be noted that all those Uchihas were able to unlock and capable of using their own respective Susanoos. And those chakra, if used the same way they did it to me into other ordinary shinobi, will simply extinguish and disappear after use or within a certain time period. However, due to my special circumstances being an Uzumaki with powerful chakra and life force, those chakra remained within me, albeit became dormant. Then came the right arm created by Granny Tsunade that was made entirely from first Hokage's cells and DNA. We knew very well why Orochimaru, Danzo, and even Madara, to name a few, were so obsessed with the first cells, right? The first Hokage, Hashirama Senju's cells, were brimming with powerful life force and overwhelming chakra that could augment anything it touched, similar to how the Bijus are to its Jinchuriki. That's why when this right arm was attached to me, the life force and chakra from the huge amounts from the cultivated first Hokage's cells gradually revitalized those dormant Uchiha chakra within me. And during my most recent training at the Mount, Myokobu, those chakra became fully awakened within me, and since my chakra properties were now much stronger than those Uchiha chakra, they were assimilated by my chakra, and those Uchiha chakra fragments became part of my own, that allowed me to access and use the Susanoo as part of my chakra, allowing me to use Susanoo, since it only requires chakra from those who were able to already access it, but those other Sharingan-specific jutsus like Amaterasu and Tsukuyomi are out of the question since those jutsus require an actual Mangekyo Sharingan for them to be used. Wow, Hinata can only mutter in awe as she heard Naruto's explanation. With all your new jutsus and skills, I am actually wondering what kind of training you've been through for the past year. Please, don't ask, Naruto Bunshin sighed, it was hell. I see, Hinata gave a difficult smile in response after seeing Naruto's expression. Well, just keep that information with us three for now, Naruto Bunshin then grinned back towards Hinata. Let's speed up even more, let's go. The original Naruto then said to his Bunshins as he hopped past them, he needs to inform Konoha of this sudden ambush against them. The group was no mere random organization, they have access to Mangekyo Sharingan and space-time jutsu, while Konoha can fend them off with him and Sasuke around. How about the other hidden villages? The Cage Bunshins complied, then further increased their speed en route to Konoha while making sure that Sarah won't be overwhelmed by such movement speeds. From a certain distant land outside of the 5 great shinobi countries' domain. A girl from that certain country shot her eyes open as if a nightmare woke her up from her deep sleep. A bead of sweat rolled down her cheeks while panting lightly. She then gripped her blanket, worry painted on her face. The ancient demon, Moryu, is about to be revived again, the said girl with long blonde hair said to herself, as memories from her past encounter with the said demon came rushing at full force within her mind. Every certain period of time, once it met the required conditions, the seal that was binding the demon with great power known as Moryu will gradually weaken, allowing the demon to reach its own revival cycle, and 5 years ago, Moryu's seal has been weakened, and nearly resurrected in full incarnation, endangering the entire world. However, this girl, who possessed a special power whose sole purpose was to seal the aforementioned demon, was able to defeat and reseal Moryu during his previous revival cycle with the help of a certain shinobi from the hidden village of the Leaves. The very same shinobi who defied the foresight of his supposed death while protecting her, the very same shinobi who chose to save her from being assimilated by Moryu, the very same shinobi who helped her accept her duties and responsibilities as a priestess tasked to protect the world against such demons. The very same shinobi who taught her to create her own destiny instead of following a predetermined path that she'll never be happy with. The very same shinobi whom she very had deep affection with. Yet the very same shinobi that she now came to hate so much. As much as I don't intend to, it seems like the land of demons will need Konohagakure's assistance again to defeat Moryu, she said to herself as she stood up and wore her robe. I'll have no choice but to meet you again, Uzumaki Naruto, she said with a neutral expression. However, can I still do it? Do I still have the power to seal Moryu and help save this world? Scene change. Naruto, Hinata and Sarah arrived at Konoha's main gate, with Naruto still having the unconscious Uchiha latched on his right shoulder. They were greeted by the gate's guard on duty, with Hinata filling up the basic information needed before they enter the village. During their arrival at Konoha's main gate, Sarah discarded her hooded cloak, revealing her royal attire like what she used to wear during her time in Roron. So for onlookers, Sarah is a very beautiful girl with gestures and movements so refined that other men looking towards her were stunned and some were even blushing. This made them wonder who she actually was, and after seeing how she's walking together with Hinata and Naruto, again wondered what her relationship was with the two said prominent Konoha shinobi. The trio then immediately proceeded to the Hokage Tower to avoid further unnecessary attention. The 3 of them entered the Hokage's office, and much to Hinata and Naruto's surprise, Sasuke, Sakura, Sai and Shikamaru were already together with Kakashi, as if they were already discussing something serious. Oh, good timing, Kakashi greeted the newly arrived group with his usual eye smile. How's your trip at Suna? Who's that girl? Kakashi immediately noticed the beautiful red-haired girl beside Hinata. Sarah immediately held the 2 sides of her robe and bowed down elegantly, a greeting that was usually being done by royalties. Kakashi then immediately shifted his attention to the other thing he noticed. And who's that person you're carrying, Naruto? Naruto gently put the unconscious Uchiha down. Sasuke immediately recognized the unconscious kid, then glared at it seriously. That's him, Sasuke immediately said, surprising Kakashi, Sakura and Sai while Shikamaru narrowed his eyes, or at the very least, this is the appearance of the kid who attacked me. You mean, that kid with Sharingan? Sakura asked. Apparently, it ain't just a kid, kids, Naruto said as he performed a hand seal to dispel the fuinjutsu he applied to the kid's eyes. He is not alone. 6 of the same kids, all very identical to each other in appearance, attacked us while on our way back here. At first, I thought that they were some Bunshin or sorts, but they are all real. This is not something that can be done by regular cloning jutsu. 6 identical copies. Shikamaru lightly raised his voice. Yeah, they ambushed us on our way back here. Of course, we fought back. However, they also have access to space-time jutsu so most were able to escape, with this kid being the only one that I was able to capture. Naruto then completed the unsealing of his fuinjutsu, allowing the unconscious Uchiha kid to regain consciousness. Shikamaru, use your shadow binding jutsu on him immediately. Shikamaru complied even before Naruto could complete his statement. The moment that Shin Uchiha opened his eyes, he already cannot move due to the shadow binding jutsu performed against him by Konoha's resident tactician. Impressive, Naruto, you were able to capture this one without any visible damage. You said that you fought against the 6 of them, right? Kakashi said while looking towards Shin Uchiha, whose eyes now completely morphed into Mangekyo Sharingan. That's right. Be careful though, his Mangekyo is capable of manipulating metals, based on our encounter, but there's a possibility that there's more to it than it seems. That's good enough. Sasuke then immediately stood in front of Shin Uchiha. Let's see what other things you have in mind. The Rinnegan wielder then cast a genjutsu to the kid, making the kid fall to the ground unconscious. Again, this time, Sasuke picked up the unconscious kid, then attempted to walk outside the Hokage's office. Don't be too harsh on him, Sasuke, he's just a kid, Naruto said towards his friend. You're too soft. Now that we already know there were 6 of them, that at the very least, all of them were capable of using Mangekyo Sharingan, and they also have access to some space-time jutsu. This was already a serious matter that could threaten the peace that we have right now. We can't afford to take any chances, Sasuke replied with his usual monotone voice. Don't worry, Naruto, I'll be coming with him. Shikamaru tapped the shoulder of his blonde friend as he followed Sasuke's footsteps towards the exit of the office. I'll make sure that we'll interrogate the kid properly. Thanks, Shikamaru, Naruto replied with a small smile. Sasuke looked towards Naruto, then towards the red-haired girl beside him. And here I thought you were so against that law, yet you already got one ahead of me. Exclamation mark. Naruto immediately blushed comically out of embarrassment, then reacted with his usual hyperactive reaction when embarrassed. You want a piece of me, Ibeo. Sasuke, with a small smirk, immediately went out of the room with Shikamaru lightly snickering while closing the office's door. Well then, Kakashi then gave an eye smile to Naruto and Hinata, then to the beautiful red-haired girl beside them, with Sakura and Sai looking towards them with curious expression. I believe you have something to tell me. Naruto then immediately used a series of hand seals, then slammed his right hand to the floor, casting a soundproofing fuinjutsu within the room to ensure that no one could eavesdrop on this conversation. Once again, Kakashi, Sakura and Sai were surprised of Naruto's current proficiency with fuinjutsu, starting from how he sealed and undid the same seal from the eyes and consciousness of Shin Uchiha, and now, the soundproofing seal he just did. So the Toad Sages also taught you of Uzumaki clan's fuinjutsu, huh? Kakashi smiled within himself. Sensei's Rasengan and Hiraishin, and now Kushina-san's chakra chains and fuinjutsu. You really are your prodigious parents' child, Naruto. The red-haired girl then took a step forward, her unwavering eyes directly looking towards Kakashi. I apologize for the late introduction, Sarah said as formally as possible with a light bow. I am the former queen of the lost city of Roron, Sarah. The lost city, Sai muttered in surprise. Of Roron, Sakura also muttered with the same reaction. As if also remembering something, Kakashi narrowed his eyes. This will be quite a long story, so may I request your utmost attention, Hokage-sama, shinobi of Konoha. Sarah spoke as politely as she could towards Kakashi, Sakura, and Sai. Naruto and Hinata then stood behind her, as if intending to let her take the stage and just support her for whatever information they can share during her explanation. An hour later. So, Kakashi said, rubbing his temples, you're the queen of Roron from 20 years ago, got involved with Mukade, then Naruto came from this timeline, and with the help of a team of Konoha shinobi of your timeline, defeated that missing nin, but when Naruto was about to return to his regular timeline, you two have physical contact at the last second, sending you on the future timeline, albeit 4 years after that said mission. Sarah nodded in response. Sakura and Sai also attested a part of that mission because they were the ones who took the mission together with Naruto, albeit they were not caught with the Ryunyakus light back then, which resulted in such time travel shenanigans. And under some additional circumstances involving the case cage, you ended up being Naruto's second fiancé as per the newly implemented feudal law, am I right? Naruto, Hinata and Sarah nodded in unison. Kakashi can't help but sigh, a very deep sigh. How come trouble always finds its way into Naruto without even trying? Hokage-sama. Sarah then approached Kakashi, then pulled out her treasured chakra blade. She then placed it on the table in front of Kakashi. This is. Kakashi looked curiously at the chakra blade. Surprisingly for him, it has Konoha's symbol on its hilt. Please touch this blade, it may give you the answers you need. Kakashi then complied, touching the chakra blade. All of a sudden, flashes of sealed memory began flooding his mind. In that instance, certain sealed memories of his past covered his vision in white. Flashback. At that time, he was currently 12-year-old. He was included in that mission. Minato Namikaze brought him together with Chusa Akamaki and Shibi Aburame. Minato instructed him to simply watch on the sidelines, not meddle in the fight no matter what. However, he gave the young shinobi a task to implant exploding tags all over the central district of Roron and detonate them on command, so he had no choice but watch how Minato, Chusa, and Shibi fought against a monstrous puppet whom he understood as the main perpetrator of whatever was happening in Roron. Yet he saw a blonde-haired shinobi who also have a Konoha forehead protector. However, he was not familiar with said blonde-haired shinobi who had a strikingly similar appearance and physique to that of his sensei, and despite not being too familiar with him, the younger blonde shinobi will always comply with the older blonde's instruction during battle. Minato tasked that blonde shinobi with protecting the Queen of Roron, and he did so, despite being beaten badly, by the more powerful opponent, without any hesitation. As he continued to watch from a safe distance as the battle unfolded, he found another weird man wearing the same Konoha forehead protector sneaking around. He led the weird man to the place where the final phase of the battle seemed to unfold until Minato and the younger blonde shinobi combined their Rasengan to defeat the massive puppet in the process. It should be impossible for anyone other than Minato to use the Rasengan, yet the kid was able to not only match but also synchronize their Rasengan to deliver the final blow against the opponent. As the building began to collapse due to the damage it received during the battle, the weird man he was currently with grabbed him and used Mokuden-based jutsu to save Minato, the queen, and the other blonde-haired shinobi from falling down to the turbulent Ryumyaku. After a few formalities, the Ryumyaku was sealed by Minato, and with that, the other blonde shinobi and the weird man began glowing. After Minato's explanation, Kakashi then knew that the two Konoha shinobi whom he was not familiar with were from the future, and it was time for them to return to their own timeline after Mukade's defeat. He then saw the sadness on the queen's face after realizing that the blonde shinobi from the future was now about to disappear. The two had their last intimate talk before they were about to part ways. Even for a child like him, he understood that these two created a strong bond with each other, a bond possibly stronger than friendship, so the only thing he can think of it was a bond called love. Not that it matters for him. The queen and the blonde shinobi from the future were from different timelines. After all, he knew that wherever feelings they have for each other won't bore any fruit. He just felt sorry for the two of them. However, much to his surprise, before the blonde shinobi completely disappears, the queen ran and attempted to hug him one last time, only for the queen to disappear as well together with the blonde shinobi from the future. Flashback end. Kakashi had his right elbow on his desk, grabbing his face. He can't believe what he just saw. Kakashi-sensei. Sakura attempted to approach Kakashi, to see if he is alright. I am fine, Sakura, thanks. Kakashi gave a reassuring eye smile, recovering his composure. The memories are just too much, that I am having a hard time apprehending it. Kakashi then took a deep breath. The memories that his sensei sealed that time, those memories alone were enough to verify Queen Sarah's stories, but more than that, what surprised him was the fact that he had already met Naruto even before the blonde knucklehead was born. The way Minato and Naruto fought together during that time, including that powerful Rasengan that defeated Mukade, made him feel somewhat mushy from within. It all makes sense now. Thank you for recovering my sealed memories, Sarah-sama, Kakashi said with a smile towards the former queen. Please, I am no longer a queen, I am just Sarah right now. Sarah smiled. I am here because of Naruto, and with Hinata's big heart, I can now spend time together with him. I gambled back then, and that gamble paid off. That's why all that I am requesting for now, and hopefully you won't mind, Hokage-sama, is to accept me as a citizen of Konoha, and as Naruto's second fiancé. Kakashi looked directly towards her eyes. Sarah's purple eyes were staring at him, as if trying to bore a hole in his head. He remembered his thoughts about the futile affections that Naruto and Sarah had for each other during the end of that mission, then sighed in defeat. They said that love can move mountains, yet Queen Sarah bypassed the laws of time and space for the sake of her feelings. I can't help but feel amazed, yet at the same time, also feel happy for her and Naruto. Sakura, on the other hand, have her mouth hanging, while Sai simply gave his usual mysterious smile after hearing Sarah's plea. Sakura and Sai can't believe a former queen of such beauty will be willing to go to such lengths, discarding her royalty and even leaving her own timeline, for her to be able to spend her life for the man she fell in love with. Not just that, but Hinata herself, the renowned Byakugan princess even in other hidden villages and countries, was also a beauty in her own right. Alright, Kakashi then immediately recomposed himself again. One thing, do you still have access to the Ryunyaku, Sarah? Yes, so if it happens that someone got a wind of your circumstances, some will also target you so they can use that ley line of chakra for their own bidding, Kakashi muttered. Don't worry, Kakashi-sensei, Naruto said with a serious, yet confident expression, I'll protect her, no matter what. What about you, Hinata? Are you alright with Naruto having another woman? I have already come to terms with it, and we both know what our responsibility will be, Hinata replied, not a hint of hesitation in her words. She then smiled at Sarah, and Sarah returned the gesture. The exchange of smiles between the two females close to Naruto made Kakashi smile. He felt like he was watching an Ika Ika sequel. No, he internally punched himself in the head. Okay, I have nothing else to say, Kakashi summarized. This information will only be between select Konoha individuals. I will also have to tell Shikamaru and Sasuke about it, but for now, welcome to Konoha, Lady Sarah. Sarah's eyes beamed in happiness as she immediately ran towards Hinata for a friendly hug. Hinata also hugged her back with a smile on her face, while Naruto grinned happily towards them. After a few more arrangements and sharing of information, Kakashi dismissed Team 7 from his office, and before he returned to the mountain of paperworks, he looked towards a separate pile of documents that he specifically set aside due to special reasons. Political marriage proposals, attempts for arranged marriage. Kakashi looked towards the said papers, and with a little flick from his finger that released a tiny bit of lightning chakra, the said papers were fried, nearly turning the entirety of those piles of papers into scattered ashes. I won't allow such to limit my students' growth. They have their own path ahead of them. I will protect them on my own terms, Kakashi said while looking at the picture of Team 7 during their earlier genin days that he always had on his office table. Scene change, Sasuke, Shikamaru, and Ibiki Morino walked out of the interrogation room, leaving the captured Shin Uchiha behind. The Uchiha kid had both his arms tied behind his back, his hands wrapped in special thick clothing to prevent him from performing shinobi hand seals, and his eyes were currently blindfolded with Fuinjutsu insignia, making the Uchiha kid unable to use any of his Sharingan abilities. Whoever was behind this knew who they were up against, Sasuke said to the two individuals with him. I used Genjutsu with my Sharingan to look within his memories, and the majority of his memories were sealed. The Fuinjutsu that were locking out those sealed memories were enough to block even my Mangekyu Sharingan's Genjutsu. Well, they can also use Mangekyu, so I think it is not too far-fetched that they knew how to deal with against a Mangekyu Genjutsu. Then why don't you use your Rinnegan's abilities? Ibiki asked in a serious tone. I'll need to rip his soul out of his body for me to be able to do that, Sasuke replied. Like what Naruto had said, this Shin Uchiha that was currently in our custody still is a kid and might be just following orders from a shrewd individual. That's why I won't compromise his life just for whatever memories were still sealed within him. If it's the past me though, I would never hesitate to do something like that. However, you were still able to get some information through your Genjutsu, right? Shikamaru asked this time. Yes, and that information was more than enough for now, Sasuke answered as he began walking away. I already have an overview of their mastermind and the true ability of their Mangekyu. However, the main question here was, how did they acquire such a number of Sharingan, and how come all of them have identical Mangekyu Sharingan and its subsequent specific ability? That's what I am also thinking. Naruto implied that their Mangekyu was capable of controlling metallic weapons, or in other words, all non-living matter, once they came in contact with it, but that shouldn't be since as far as our intel and archives know, each Mangekyu by Uchihas who was able to unlock it have certain abilities specific for only that specific Mangekyu wielding Uchiha, Shikamaru added as Sasuke stopped right before he exited the door. Aside from the fact that this kid is not an authentic, legitimate Uchiha, Sasuke said, so it all boils down to one option. Genetic transplant or mutation, Ibiki Morino summarized, and in this current time of peace, there is only one person who is shrewd enough to perform such acts. Orochimaru, Sasuke said as he finally exited the door, leaving Ibiki and Shikamaru. Ibiki then looked towards the one-sided tinted glass wall, his attention directed towards the captured Shin Uchiha. So he won't compromise a life of a kid, even if that kid was the one who attempted to ambush him and Naruto, Shikamaru sighed. Then smirked. A few years ago, most of us from our generation mutually agreed to fight and kill Sasuke due to the crimes he committed back then. Most of us have given up on him. But right now, he's here in the village, supporting it within the shadows. Naruto was able to reach him. Those two were able to understand one another. I don't know how or what Naruto did say to him, but he really has a knack for talking some sense to people. That Uzumaki brat really had come a long way. Ibiki gave a small smile, still looking towards their captured Uchiha. To think that 3 years ago, it was Uchiha Sasuke being the one who was confined in such state after the Fourth Shinobi War. Those two really were the pillars of our current generation. What a drag. Shikamaru then followed Sasuke while scratching the back of his head. Scene change. Well, I can finally breathe normally now that Hiashi-san has been informed of the situation, Naruto said as he sighed in relief. He was currently standing in front of Hinata and Sarah. The three of them were currently standing in front of the Hyuga Manor's main gate. Father might be strict, but he is an understanding person, Hinata replied to the blonde knucklehead. For now, I'll have Sarah stay here with us in the Hyuga compound, since I can't Yeah, Sarah said lightly tapping Hinata's shoulder twice. You're supposed to be the main fiancé, so you can't have the second fiancé stay with Naruto alone for the night, due to reasons. I am sorry, Hinata lowered her head with a huge blush on her face. You don't have to, Hinata. Sarah lightly waved both her hands. I also have to prepare myself due to the sudden change of events, so this will be the best for the both of us. Naruto gulped while watching the two girls speak like that. He might be naive, but he's not that stupid. But he can't help but smile. Hinata, despite being her usual shy self, still was asserting herself like that because of him. She might have already accepted Sarah as his second fiancé, but she can't just yield her feelings for him as the first woman who truly loved him. And despite Sarah's lineage as a queen, she's humble enough to accept their current arrangement just like that. Will you be really okay on your own tonight? Do you want us to come over and cook you some dinner? Hinata asked Naruto in sincere concern. I don't know how to cook yet, but I'll help with any way I can, Sarah also added. No, I am fine, Naruto replied with a smile. I am used to living alone, you see, so, he said in an as a matter-of-fact tone. Hinata then gave a sad expression, while Sarah was surprised after hearing those words. Naruto, however, simply bid farewell to the two as he began jogging away and immediately turned away to the nearest intersection. Just what did he mean by that, Hinata? Sarah looked towards Hinata with serious eyes. Sure though, she had heard of Naruto's stories from Temari, but those were mostly during the times when she was fighting with Naruto as comrades, including the events of the Fourth Shinobi War, and during the time that Sarah and Hinata were getting to know each other in Suna. Hinata only told her about those missions when the two of them were designated as teammates. It is as if that Sarah realized just right now that she might have known Naruto based on the time that he spent with him, and based on the stories from Temari and Hinata, and all of those were about him being a shinobi, but she also just realized right now that she knew basically nothing about Naruto's past and personal life. Hinata then contemplated as she looked down. I don't know if I have the right to tell you about that. Hinata, I need to know, Sarah said in a more serious manner. Her voice akin to a royal commanding her subject. She realized that but didn't back down and continued with the same tone. I know you're the first wife, and I will not contest that since I suddenly just barged in between your relationship, but I can't help it. I love him just like how much you do, so please, between us two women, and being the person who's been with Naruto since childhood, I need to know who Naruto really is and how he managed to become who he is today. Hinata and Sarah then looked towards each other, their gazes both unwavering. I understand, Hinata nodded, finally recollecting herself. It will be quite a long story, and what I am about to tell you was merely my side of the story, but if you really want to truly understand him, you will need to ask him directly about it, Hinata said with a serious expression. Sarah nodded with a smile. The two girls then walked inside the Hyuga manor, entered Hinata's room, where Hinata began telling Sarah the story of starting from a certain night, the night when Naruto was born. On the other hand, the very moment that Naruto reached a considerable distance from the Hyuga manor, he looked towards the sky, then stretched his left arm with his left index finger pointing sideways. A certain small hawk then landed on his left index finger, with a small piece of paper tied on its tarsus. The moment that Naruto untied and got that note, the small hawk dispersed into a puff of smoke. Come on, Sasuke, we're both currently in the village, wouldn't it hurt you to tell me something like this in person? Naruto complained. However, his eyebrows narrowed after reading the content of the paper. Tomorrow morning before the sun rises, Konoha's left wing. Mission. Raid Orochimaru's laboratory, rank A. Orochimaru. Naruto narrowed his eyes. This might be related to those kids with Mijikyu. Naruto then, instead of walking on his way home, decided to hop away for faster movement so he can prepare for their upcoming mission as soon as possible. Scene change. Nighttime. As the moon shone down on the land, several shinobi approached each other to change their scheduled shifts to guard an enormous structure. Is it really necessary to still guard this enormous thing? One of the random shinobi said. I don't know, but it is a decree from the Shinobi Alliance. Since our village is part of it, we have no choice but to comply, the other random shinobi replied. But a thing this large, stretching from tens of kilometers, there is no way that this thing will be stolen, right? Who knows? There were hundreds of shinobi stations surrounding this stump. For it to be protected from evil organizations and use this stump for their own whim. We fought hard for this peace, so this is the least we can do to protect it, right? Yeah, this stump is the very monument left behind during the previous shinobi war, after all, the stump of the Shinju created by the Akatsuki. The two shinobi then further exchanged stories about their current peaceful life. But unknowingly to them, there were multiple red-eyed individuals watching over them, including all the other shinobi posts and stations that were surrounding the entire stump of the Shinju. And each time the guards let their guard down, the red-eyed individuals will use a jutsu and implant it on the vital parts of the Shinju's stump, and will use their red eye, the Sharingan, to program the activation of the said jutsu. Scene change. From a far, far, distant star, there existed a world, a planet almost twice as large as the shinobi world, now devoid of life. The entire surface of the planet now looked like a barren wasteland. Aside from those multiple, towering huge trees, these trees were the only living things on the planet right after they completely drain its life and energy, and all those trees were now bearing a single fruit, a bizarre, yet powerful fruit that can give enormous power to those who will consume it. The chakra fruit. The chakra fruit, created by the respective god trees, bloomed from that planet and were now waiting to be harvested and consumed. And standing on top of one of the said god trees, stood two individuals wearing attire and appearance which was quite similar to that of Kaguya Otsutsuki. One of them had a towering height and a huge physique, the other has a smaller physical appearance yet was visibly much more powerful than the other, and the most notable feature was both of their eyes were the same as of Kaguya, the Byakugan. This is quite a harvest. The one with a smaller physique looked round, seemingly content with all the god trees, each bearing their own chakra fruits, that can even be seen beyond the horizon. He then levitated towards one of the human-sized chakra fruit, and using the Rinnegan on his right palm, compressed the chakra fruit to fit on his palm, then began eating the chakra fruit. The very moment that the chakra fruit was plucked, the god tree where the fruit was plucked morphed into a one-eyed beast, the 10 tails. The 10 tails roared mightily, shaking the earth beneath them. However, the larger one among the two beings projected a massive, red-colored hammer, then with impossible speeds, slammed it to the head of the 10 tails, knocking it unconscious. You're just a seedling, the larger one spoke as he now stood on top of the gigantic, unconscious beast. We'll move you into another planet, and plant you there, and give us another fruit for us to consume. Well done, Kinshiki. The smaller one spoke as he descended while levitating after totally consuming the chakra fruit. I am back to full power again. While we still have a lot of chakra fruits on this planet to consume, I guess it is time for us to look for another planet where we can implant that seedling. Hi, Momoshiki-sama, the larger one, now known as Kinshiki, bowed politely to the smaller man, now known as Momoshiki, but still, we have yet to hear anything about Ashiki and Kaguya's whereabouts. The clan lost contact with them the very moment they went to that dimension. Indeed, Momoshiki replied, those two might have found a much better dimension with planets brimming with life, perfect to create more powerful chakra fruits and better seedlings, and they might have taken it all on their own and betrayed the clan. That's right, Momoshiki-sama, Kinshiki said, that's why I suggest that we must visit the dimension where they currently were and see if they have really betrayed the clan. Momoshiki then gave an evil smirk, very well, let's pay them their much-needed visit. Thanks for watching.